Chapter 463. Hua Fei and the rest turned pale with fright. In the arena, Song Ke sneered. What an idiot! However, his smile froze in the next moment. The blue lightning that filled the sky disappeared quickly, and so did the lightning tiger. The silver light on Lin Xian's body shone brightly, forming a terrifying aura. What? He's fine. It was unbelievable that he could withstand the Thunder Tiger Fist. Was this kid still human? The disciples of the Lightning Sect were even more shocked. They knew the power of the Thunder Tiger Fist. With Lin Xian's strength, it was impossible for him to withstand it. However, not only did Lin Xian catch it, he was also unscathed. He was not hurt at all. This strange phenomenon shocked them. Even Lei Zhen's brows were tightly knitted together. In the arena, silver lightning flashed like a silver dragon. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He had absorbed all the lightning energy. Such pure lightning energy, as expected of a disciple of the Lightning Sect. He was satisfied. However, Song Ke's face darkened. Lin Xian withstood the Thunder Tiger Fist unscathed. Song Ke's face was as black as an iron pot. Damn it! What did this kid do? How could he ignore my Thunder Tiger Fist? I don't care. I must get rid of this kid quickly. Otherwise, I'll lose all my face. Song Ke's face darkened. As he moved, lightning gathered on his limbs, forming a giant tiger claw. He slammed it toward Lin Xian. The claw easily tore through the air. However, Lin Xian did not dodge. He continued to take the Thunder Tiger claw head-on. The sword of devouring in his body secretly spun quickly. It absorbed the lightning he touched, and converted it into pure lightning energy, to strengthen his body. What? This again? Song Ke's eyes narrowed when he saw Xian ignore his lightning attack again. Ah! He roared into the sky and quickly formed a giant lightning energy ball. He threw it downward. Boom! The terrifying thunder lightning ball instantly enveloped Lin Xian, forming a gigantic circular lightning arc above the entire arena, covering the entire area. That's what you get for being so arrogant. Now that you've been hit by my lightning energy ball, you have no chance of surviving. Song Ke laughed loudly. Everyone was silent. This energy ball was too terrifying. It was enough to blast away several nearing transformation intermediate stage martial artists. Lin Xian would definitely not be able to take it. The disciples of the Lightning Sect were jubilant. How dare you go against the Lightning Sect? You've overestimated yourself. Shang Guanhao also sneered. How can he be called a rising star with such a level? However, Lei Zhen's eyebrows were tightly knitted together. His gaze was like lightning as he looked towards the stage. He could sense that Lin Xian's aura had not weakened. Soon, everyone realized that something was wrong. Shang Guanhao's face darkened when he saw Lin Xian unscathed with his black hair fluttering in the wind. He had just mocked Lin Xian's strength, but now Lin Xian had actually appeared unscathed. This was clearly a slap to his face. Shang Guanhao's face turned cold. In the arena, Song Ke fell into great shock. As a genius disciple of the Lightning Sect, he had gone through countless battles. He had even fought with the 5 great talents before. However, there had never been a battle like this one. It was too strange. All his attacks seemed to have lost their effect, and could not cause any damage. For a moment, he wondered if he had fallen into an illusion. Lin Xian absorbed a large amount of lightning, and was in a good mood. He looked up at Song Ke in the sky and smiled. I say, did you not eat? The power of lightning is so weak. If you really can't do it, why don't you get someone else? Although Lin Xian's voice was not loud, it spread clearly in all directions. The corners of everyone's mouth twitched. This kid was too arrogant. The disciples of the Lightning Sect were even more furious. Among them, Shang Guanhao's body surged with lightning. He could not wait to jump into the arena and fight with Lin Xian. Song Ke was so angry that his whole body trembled. The lightning on his body formed a terrifying aura. Kid, you've completely angered me. No one can save you today. With that, he pulled out a long spear from his storage ring. It was a dark golden spear with intricate patterns engraved on it. It emitted a fierce aura. With the long spear in hand, Song Ke's aura rose again. Since the lightning could not hurt Lin Xian, he planned to use a weapon to attack. He did not believe that a mid-grade spiritual treasure could not hurt his opponent. Lightning surrounded his feet. Song Ke turned into a bolt of lightning, and stabbed at Lin Xian. On the tip of the spear, a terrifying spinning force of lightning was formed. The attack was enough to pierce through any defense. Seeing Song Ke take the initiative to attack, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He lightly tapped his feet and used the illusory demon steps to quickly dodge the amazing spear. Then, he quickly reached out and grabbed the spear shaft. Go to hell! Song Ke did not expect Lin Xian to dare grab his weapon. He immediately shouted in anger. The lightning in the sky condensed into a huge lightning saw and mercilessly fell. The devouring sword in his body quickly revolved. He began to madly absorb the lightning on Song Ke's body. Not good retreat, Lei Zhen suddenly shouted from below. He's absorbing your lightning. What? Absorbing the lightning? The crowd was shocked and looked at the arena in disbelief. The disciples of the lightning sect were also surprised. Even they did not dare to casually absorb the lightning of others. But Lin Xian was so bold. Was he not afraid of being injured by the violent lightning? Lei Zhen's face was gloomy. He had been suspicious from the beginning. Only now did he confirm that Lin Xian was indeed absorbing the lightning on Song Ke's body. This guy must be trying to strengthen his body. As one of the top 5 talents, Lei Zhen's eyes were sharp. He could see Lin Xian's intention at a glance. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame looked at the arena and revealed a playful smile for the first time. You dare to absorb the lightning? Interesting. But you're too weak. You're not worth my time. With Lin Xian's current strength, Crown Prince Heavenly Flame did not put him in his eyes. In the arena, Song Ke was terrified. In fact, he did not need Lei Zhen's reminder. He already knew that Lin Xian was absorbing his lightning. That was because the lightning in his body was out of control and was crazily rushing into Lin Xian's body. What is this guy trying to do? How can he absorb so much lightning? Isn't he afraid of his body exploding? Song Ke was shocked. He wanted to abandon his spear and retreat, but he realized that Lin Xian had already grabbed him. Retreat! At this moment he no longer had the intention to attack. He just wanted to stay far away from Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian would not give up such a good opportunity. He used the illusory demon steps and stuck close to Song Quebec. Every time they clashed, Lin Xian would absorb a part of Song Ke's lightning. In the end, Song Ke's aura became weaker and weaker. He was no longer Lin Xian's opponent. I admit defeat. Song Ke shouted in fear. He did not dare to continue the fight. There was only 1/3 of the lightning left in his body. If he continued the fight, his lightning would be sucked dry. Hearing Song Ke admit defeat, Lin Xian could only stop attacking. Feeling the power of lightning in his body, he sighed softly. Song Ke was strong, but the lightning he provided was not enough to evolve the Silver Thunder Constitution. Chapter 464. After devouring Song Ke's true dragon qi, Lin Xian's body shone with golden light again. Most of his silver armor was covered with golden light, just a little bit away from becoming a real light gold armor. The crowd was amazed. Lin Xian's strength had exceeded their expectations once again. The disciples of the Thunder sect were even more frightened. A martial artist who was not afraid of lightning, and could even absorb lightning, was the nemesis of the disciples of the Thunder sect. Lin Xian's ability to absorb lightning had indeed shocked everyone, especially the disciples of the Thunder sect. He was their nemesis. Many of the disciples of the Thunder sect looked at Lin Xian with deep fear. They did not want to fight with such an opponent. Lei Zhen's face was gloomy. He looked at Lin Xian with a cold, murderous look. Shang Guanhao, who was beside him, was furious. He took a step forward, and his aura suddenly exploded. Nemesis of the Thunder sect? I can kill you with one hand. He stared at Lin Xian, wishing he could fight him for 300 rounds. Facing Shang Guanhao's fierce gaze, Lin Xian was still fearless. He had just tasted the sweetness of victory from Song Ke, and was eager to fight with the disciples of the Thunder sect. Their gazes collided, creating countless sparks in the air as if swords and sabers were clashing. At this moment, the armor on both of them vibrated. Then, under the guidance of the true dragon qi, both of them flew into the arena. What? The crowd was shocked. They had never seen such a thing. Could it be a coincidence? No, it should be their fighting spirit that affected the true dragon qi. That could happen. The crowd was surprised. In the Green Dragon Assembly, it was not possible to fight with anyone. Both sides of the battle were completely guided by the true dragon Qi. That was why they were surprised. In the arena, Shangguanhao laughed. It seems that even the heavens are helping me. Kid, this time I'll let you know the power of the Thunder Sect. I can kill you with one slap. It seems that your lightning energy is purer. I hope it can satisfy me, Lin Xian said calmly. The crowd was excited. They did not expect the two dark horses to meet. It was definitely going to be an intense battle. Who do you think will win? If it was in the past, it would definitely be Shangguanhao. His strength is much stronger than Lin Xian's. But now Lin Xian can actually absorb the lightning. Maybe he can win. There was a lot of discussion below the stage. Most people were optimistic about Lin Xian, because the way he absorbed the lightning energy was too strange. Shangguanhao roared to the sky. His whole body was covered with lightning, which condensed into a pair of huge lightning wings behind him. He was about to go mad with anger. As the number one dark horse of the third arena, he didn't take anyone seriously. But now, everyone actually looked down on him. He couldn't accept this. Only by killing Lin Xian could he once again prove his strength. The thunderbolt wings vibrated, and Shangguanhao disappeared. The next moment, he appeared beside Lin Xian. The enormous lightning wings were like heavenly blades, abnormally sharp. They quickly swept past Lin Xian and cut him in half. Dead? Everyone was shocked. No, it's an illusion. At this moment, the body that was cut in half disappeared instantly, and Lin Xian's real body appeared in another place. The thunderbolt wings were powerful, but his illusory demonic steps was not to be trifled with. Moving his body again, Lin Xian rushed toward Shangguanhao. This time he must condense the golden thunder body. Shangguanhao was so angry that he laughed. Let's see how much lightning you can absorb. Concept of thunder. Around him, countless blue lightning arcs formed a strange energy that enveloped the whole area. At the same time, a 100-meter tall thunderbolt hammer appeared behind him, emitting a violent aura. As soon as Lin Xian approached, he felt a strong impact from the concept of thunder. In an instant, the silver lightning on his body was suppressed. The lightning that contained the concept of thunder was many times more powerful. Even if he had the devouring sword, he didn't dare to absorb too much. Seeing Lin Xian's state, Shangguanhao laughed arrogantly. I thought you were powerful, but this is all you have. You're defeated. Shangguanhao waved the thunderbolt hammer and smashed it down. Everyone was surprised. They didn't expect Shangguanhao to be so violent and domineering that he could suppress Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian was capable of absorbing lightning. No wonder he's the number one dark horse. His combat strength is terrifying. It seems that Shangguanhao is going to win this match. The disciples of the Thunder Sect were all excited, waving their arms and shouting. The power in Lin Xian's body burst out. He couldn't compete with Shangguanhao with the silver thunder body alone. So he quickly displayed the concept of wind. The surrounding air froze as if it was under Lin Xian's control. His body was like a wisp of smoke, passing by the thunderbolt hammer and constantly moving around Shangguanhao. The huge thunderbolt hammer fell, causing the whole arena to tremble. The violent power was like waves hitting a huge rock, spreading in all directions. Even a warrior in the early stage of the spirit transformation realm would be easily torn apart. Lin Xian was like a sailboat of the Thunder Sea sect, constantly swaying. However, he had successfully resisted the concept of thunder. What? He resisted it? This is the concept of wind. Lin Xian actually has the concept of wind. Everyone was shocked. After resisting the concept of thunder, Lin Xian no longer held back his cultivation. The aura of the spirit transformation realm suddenly burst out. At the same time, the silver thunder body on his body flashed, forming a whirlpool-like thunder pattern, quickly absorbing the surrounding lightning. Spirit transformation realm. He is a warrior in the spirit transformation realm. Has he been suppressing his cultivation before? Everyone went crazy. They didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a powerful trump card. At the same time, this also proved his strength. Lin Xian had won more than a dozen matches in a row and finished them easily. Now he was finally forced to use his trump card. The early stage of the spirit transformation realm and the concept of wind. Is this your trump card? Shangguanhao sneered. In front of me, you can't withstand a single blow. Thunder God's fury. Shang Guanhao floated in the air, holding the huge Thunder God's hammer. Dozens of terrifying thunderbolts fell down around him. Unsheathing the star extinction sword, Lin Xian slashed up. The terrifying sword radiance surged and split the thunderbolt in half. At the same time, the silver whirlpool on his body spun rapidly, absorbing the surrounding lightning. Sword chi crisscrossed and lightning danced. The terrifying momentum attracted everyone in the surroundings. Not only the third arena, but the warriors in the other arenas were also alarmed. In the past, such a fierce battle would only appear in the Azure Dragon Genius ranking battle. They didn't expect it to appear in the preliminaries this time. Except for a few top experts, everyone else had a serious expression. This kind of battle power made their hearts palpitate. Especially the newcomers who were participating this time. They all revealed a sense of powerlessness. In the ancient city, the 5 venerables whispered, "That Lin Xian is really strange. He can actually absorb lightning. I think he is most likely a remnant of the Black Dragon cult." Venerable Chi Hua snorted. "Why does his footwork look so familiar? It's very similar to the Earth-rank footwork of the Dragon Star Nation. It seems that this kid has a lot of secrets. Not only is he related to Lung Ningxuang, but he also seems to have obtained the inheritance of the evil king." Chapter 465. Don't worry. If he is really a spy, he will show himself when the real Dragon Chi comes out. Venerable Green Lotus was like an experienced hunter, waiting for his prey to enter the cage. At this time, the collision in the arena became more intense. Lin Xian quickly absorbed the power of thunder and lightning while fighting with Shang Guanhao. At the same time, he also comprehended the essence of thunder. However, the golden thunder body was more difficult than he had imagined. The thunder and lightning energy needed was like a bottomless pit that could not be filled. On the contrary, Lin Xian felt that he was about to break through the essence of thunder. Shang Guanhao waved the thunder hammer in his hand crazily, but he was very shocked. Lin Xian's means were completely out of his expectation. As time went by, Lin Xian's thunder and lightning power became more and more powerful, while his became weaker and weaker. Although the spiritual chi around him was replenishing, he would definitely be defeated in a long time. It seems that I can only use that move. Shang Guanhao gritted his teeth, and then quickly merged with the thunder hammer in the air, and the thunder wings behind him. Buzz! The air trembled, and a huge ball of thunder and lightning wrapped around him. Lin Xian frowned. He felt an amazing energy from the ball of thunder and lightning. It seemed that his opponent had used an extremely powerful trump card. Before he could react, the ball of thunder and lightning had exploded, and Shang Guanhao's figure appeared in front of everyone again. At this time, Shang Guanhao was covered with a layer of thunder and lightning armor, and the thunder wings behind him had shrunk to about 1 meter. The huge thunder hammer had also become the size of an ordinary weapon, but its aura had become more powerful. Moreover, there was a thunder horn on his forehead, which was entwined with ancient thunder and lightning patterns. After the transformation, Shang Guanhao's aura was extremely powerful, almost 50% stronger than before. The thunder wings behind him vibrated, and he disappeared in an instant. So fast. Lin Xian's pupil shrank. He moved quickly and left his original position. However, the thunder hammer had already fallen. He had no choice but to block it with his sword. Boom! The horrible power of thunder and lightning sent him flying. The essence of thunder turned into a thunder snake and drilled into his body. What? Lin Xian was sent flying. What kind of secret skill is this? It's horrible. Shang Guanhao has become so powerful. Everyone was shocked. Shang Guanhao's strength had increased so much that it had completely surpassed Lin Xian's. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Lin Xian's eyes shone with a sharp sword light. In the next moment, a shocking sword will erupted from his body. Dazzling sword will surged and swept across the void. Shang Guanhao moved quickly, but the sword essence was too horrifying. It shrouded him directly. He could only sweep the thunder and lightning hammer in his hand horizontally, forming a ring of thunder and lightning that attacked the sword light that filled the sky. Dozens of sword chi fell at the same time, and the terrifying sword will showed its power. Shang Guanhao's body trembled, and he was about to fall. What? No way. Lin Xian still has the strength to fight back? This is sword intent. This guy actually has such a shocking sword intent. The Cloud Tribe disciples' expression turned serious. As a Kendo clan, there were only a handful of people who had comprehended sword intent. They would be extra cautious when facing a swordsman with sword intent. Other than the Yun family, the disciples of the Shui family and the Xie family were also paying close attention. The disciples of the Thunder sect were even more shocked. To be honest, Lin Xian's strength was beyond their imagination. Perhaps only Lei Jin could completely suppress him. Lei Jin looked at the sky and whispered, I didn't expect Shang Guanhao to be forced to this point. Is he forced to use his trump card? Previously, he didn't think highly of Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian had taken out shocking trump cards time and time again, forcing Shang Guanhao into a desperate situation. As expected, Shang Guanhao felt the terrifying sword will, and the corner of his mouth twitched. He had used all his trump cards. Now he was only left with the bloodline power. Originally, he wanted to use it after the Green Dragon Genius battle. Now, it seemed that he had to use it early. You're really powerful to be able to force me to this point. But let's stop here, Shang Guanhao said in a low voice. Then, a strange power was quickly awakening in his body. In the next moment, streaks of ancient thunder runes appeared on his body and covered his entire body. Moreover, the thunder armor on his body had also changed. In the end, it seemed to have turned into a thunder beast. A terrifying pressure shrouded the entire area. The entire space seemed to have frozen. Everyone tensed up. They felt a pressure coming from their bodies. It was as if the blood in their bodies had frozen. Shang Guanhao's black eyes turned into the color of thunder. He stared closely at Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body trembled. He felt a pressure coming from the depths of his bloodline. It was as if he wasn't facing a human, but an ancient ferocious beast. For a moment, the blood in his body flowed slower. What a terrifying bloodline power. Lin Xian was shocked. He felt the changes in his body and was shocked. He had never encountered such a situation before. The bloodline power is the power of inheritance. A high-level bloodline power is enough to crush everything. This is the benefit of the bloodline power. Not only can it strengthen oneself, but it can also weaken the opponent, Winelord said. But you don't have to worry. Although you don't have the bloodline power, you have the devouring sword. It's enough to fight against the bloodline power. Indeed, it was difficult for ordinary people to fight against the bloodline power. However, Lin Xian was different. He had mastered the devouring sword. Although it was broken, its power was beyond imagination. Although Shang Guanhao's bloodline power was powerful, it was not enough to stop Lin Xian from moving. He took a deep breath. The devouring sword secretly operated and devoured the bloodline power. Feeling the blood and spiritual power in his body returning to normal, Lin Xian exclaimed. It was indeed the devouring sword. It could even devour something illusory like bloodline power. He focused his eyes and operated the lightning. Suddenly, lightning surged around him, and an inexplicable power appeared. Thunder Essence. He has comprehended the Thunder Essence. Before this, Lin Xian had not comprehended the Thunder Essence. Now that he had used the Thunder Essence, it could only mean that Lin Xian had just comprehended it. Comprehending it in a battle, this talent was too terrifying. One had to know that concepts were not cabbages. It was not something that anyone could comprehend, just because they wanted to. Moreover, Lin Xian had shown 3 essences, which really shocked everyone. Even Shang Guanhao was slightly stunned. He had used the bloodline power, and thought that he could crush Lin Xian. However, he did not expect that not only did Lin Xian break the bloodline power, but he also comprehended the Thunder Essence. Looking at Lin Xian, Shang Guanhao was jealous. Except for the lack of the bloodline power, Lin Xian's strength and talent were monstrous. Die! Shang Guanhao shouted angrily. He would not allow a genius who surpassed him to exist. The lightning patterns on his body shone, and his blood surged. The Thunderbolt hammer carried the bloodline power and the Thunder Essence. It attacked Lin Xian mercilessly. At this moment he was like the Thunder God. He was mighty and extraordinary. Lin Xian's aura changed greatly. He was like an unsheathed sword. Chapter 466. Wind Thunder Slash. With a slash, the entire arena was drowned in the power of wind and thunder. Strong winds blew and thunder surged, forming a terrifying momentum. The violent energy exploded and drowned Lin Xian and Sheng Guanhao. The crowd couldn't see clearly and could only wait anxiously. When everything dissipated, Lin Xian's face was pale as he landed on the ground. Opposite him, Sheng Guanhao's thunder armor was shattered, and the thunder horn on his forehead was split in half. There was a terrifying sword mark on his neck that almost chopped his head off. Everyone gasped. Sheng Guanhao was defeated. Not only that, he almost lost his life. He was the #1 dark horse, but he was defeated by Lin Xian. For a moment, the crowd was filled with fear for Lin Xian. After absorbing Sheng Guanhao's true dragon energy, Lin Xian's silver armor changed. The silver light on it faded and was replaced by a faint golden light. Sheng Guanhao's body was trembling with endless fear in his heart. That slash made him feel the pressure of death. Although he didn't want to believe it, he still lost. The disciples of the Thunder sect were dumbfounded. They couldn't accept this result. Lei Zhen's face was gloomy as a strong killing intent emerged from his body. Together with the violent thunder and lightning, it formed a shocking killing aura. At this moment, all the martial artists near the third arena were trembling. They felt a tremor from their souls. It's over. Lei Zhen is angry. I'm afraid Lin Xian is in trouble. Lei Zhen was indeed angry. Lin Xian had injured 2 of the Thunder sect's geniuses, and Sheng Guanhao had suffered a serious sword injury. He wanted to cripple Lin Xian, but not now. He would let Lin Xian know how powerful the Thunder sect was during the Green Dragon Genius Tournament. Many martial artists were gloating. They couldn't wait for Lei Zhen to kill Lin Xian immediately, so that they would have one less competitor. However, there were also many people who were worried for Lin Xian. Zhao Shui's white robe fluttered, and there was a trace of worry on her peerless face. Lung Yidao Dongfengxiong and the others also looked at him with concern. Feeling Lei Zhen's killing intent, Lin Xian's heart trembled. However, he was not afraid. Firstly, he had grasped 70% sword intent, and his might was second only to the heavenly sword goddess, Zhou Jianying. Moreover, he had already comprehended the concept of lightning, and his strength had greatly improved compared to before. Moreover, he had begun to experiment with new attacks. As long as he could fuse a few types of concepts, his strength would increase by a large margin. At that time, he would not be afraid of Lei Zhen. Lin Xian ignored Lei Zhen's murderous gaze as he sat cross-legged on the ground and continued to cultivate. Lin Xian separated a strand of his soul to control the devouring sword to continue devouring the black dragon's flames. Lin Xian focused most of his attention on fusing the attribute energy. He could already easily fuse the power of wind and thunder. What he needed to do next was to fuse thunder and fire, as well as fuse the concepts of wind and thunder. The lightning and fire energies in his body clashed against each other, creating a great resistance. It was as if they were born unable to fuse together. Lin Xian used his soul power to sense the surroundings and tried every possibility. In the outside world, everyone was still in shock. After Lin Xian defeated Sheng Guanhao, he became the biggest dark horse in the third arena. The situation in the other 3 arenas was not so clear. Most of them had several geniuses fighting side by side. In the first arena, Lung Yidao displayed 50% saber intent. His terrifying attacks were swift and fierce to the extreme. Anyone who fought against him was sent flying by his saber. The Xia family's genius, Xia Yijian, had a sword technique that no one could match. Until now, no one had been able to clearly see how he attacked. The Eastern Bear's divine power was monstrous, and his strength was incomparable. The wounds on his body had already healed, leaving only a small scar. This kind of terrifying self-healing ability was shocking. It must be the power of his bloodline. Lin Xian carefully observed the situation in the arena, while cultivating to increase his strength. At this time, Iron Hand's voice sounded in his mind. Lei Zhen's concept of lightning has probably reached 70%. If you are not confident, don't fight with him. Iron Hand reminded. After all, the violent power of lightning was extremely dangerous. If one was not careful, they could be seriously injured. Lin Xian nodded, indicating that he understood. Iron Hand then said, "There's one more thing to be careful of. The Martial Alliance seems to be investigating your identity." Investigating me? Lin Xian was stunned. The Martial Alliance was a top force. Why would they investigate a nameless kid like him? It seems to be related to the Black Dragon sect. Be careful. I've already informed sect leader Lung. No matter what, you're our Great Flag sect's benefactor. Hearing that, Lin Xian frowned. Although he did not know why the Martial Alliance was investigating him, since it was related to the Black Dragon sect, and had alarmed a powerhouse like Venerable Lord Lung, it must be very serious. By then, he would have no idea what was going on. Before he figured it out, he could only proceed with caution. Hey look, Yu Yan and the Prince of Heavenly Flame are fighting. Just as Lin Xian and Iron Hand were talking, the arena changed again. The crowd was shocked and went crazy. The entire ancient city was in a frenzy. Countless spectators were shouting, and their voices were earth-shattering. Their strength was definitely at the top of the Azure Dragon gathering. Their battle must be very exciting. Lin Xian stopped what he was doing and looked toward the arena. The Prince of Heavenly Flame stood proudly. Countless flames rose around him and intertwined. On the side, Yu Yan waved his hands, forming a bright moon behind him that emitted a silver glow. Facing the Prince of Heavenly Flame, he did not hold back and used his strongest attack. A silver metallic luster appeared on his giant palm. It was like a silver armored arm. It covered the sky and slammed down on the Prince of Heavenly Flame. The silver moon behind him rose and slashed at the Prince of Heavenly Flame. Its power had reached the limit of the spirit transformation realm. At the same time, two rays of light shot out from his eyes. A strange illusion shrouded the Prince of Heavenly Flame. The physical and spiritual attacks intertwined, causing the spiritual energy in the arena to fluctuate wildly. A terrifying killing intent spread out. Plop! Plop! A few martial artists who were closer to the arena were accidentally hit by the illusion and fell to the ground. This scene made everyone's heart tremble. The Prince of Heavenly Flame was indeed worthy of being one of the 5 great families. He was already so far away, but he could still be affected by the illusion. One could imagine how much pressure the Prince of Heavenly Flame was under. Lei Jin, Bing Ling, Xiao Yaozi, and the others were also shocked. They were powerful, but most of their attacks were physical. They were very wary of Yu Yan's terrifying soul attack. Looking at the power of the illusion, it's much stronger than the previous Azure Dragon gathering. It seems like Yu Yan's strength has increased a lot. Below, Lin Xian was also shocked. Yu Yan's illusion had completely surpassed his. If he did not use the Great Dragon Sword intent, it would be difficult for him to resist the illusion. Facing the physical and spiritual attacks, the Prince of Heavenly Flame's face was cold. The spiritual energy in his body jumped and turned into a fire dragon that roared ferociously. Suddenly, a blazing aura shrouded the surroundings, as if it was going to burn everything. 8 fire dragon shadows appeared behind the Prince of Heavenly Flame. They circled around each other and formed a mysterious pattern. In an instant, the illusion attacks and the silver moon palm were burned into nothingness. Chapter 467. That flame seemed to be able to burn one's soul. Prince Heavenly Flame was too terrifying. His aura wasn't any weaker than a spirit-detecting realm martial artist. Everyone's heart trembled. The 8 fire dragons behind him roared ferociously, forming a terrifying dragon flame that charged towards Yu Yan. In the next moment, Yu Yan was severely injured. The silver moon behind him shattered, and he was sent flying. Everyone was stunned. One punch, just one punch, and one of the 5 heroes, Yu Yan, was sent flying. It wasn't that Yu Yan was weak, but that Prince Heavenly Flame was too terrifying. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Yu Yan's expression became very ugly. His strength had increased by several folds compared to 10 years ago, but he still couldn't withstand a punch from Prince Heavenly Flame. It was as if no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't catch up to him. This feeling of helplessness made him despair. However, as a hero, his ability to accept failure was still very strong. In a moment, he walked out from the shadow of failure and his expression returned to normal. Since he couldn't defeat a prodigy, then he would fight for the first place among the heroes. Thinking of this, Yu Yan's eyes lit up again. However, Prince Heavenly Flame revealed a disappointed expression. He didn't care about the others, and looked at Infinite Tyrant. Only Infinite Tyrant was worthy of his full strength. Prince Heavenly Flame looked at Infinite Tyrant, and the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram behind him became more solid. Sensing Prince Heavenly Flame's battle intent, Infinite Tyrant snorted coldly. He stood up and released an aura that looked down on the world. 2 invisible forces clashed, tearing the void apart. The terrifying power made everyone tremble. Fortunately, the 2 of them only looked at each other, and didn't intend to continue. Heavens, too terrifying. Just a look can probably kill a spirit transformation realm martial artist. The rumors are true. The 4 prodigies all have the strength of a spirit detecting realm martial artist. In the face of this terrifying aura, the martial artists below couldn't resist at all. On the ancient city, the 5 sovereigns looked at Infinite Tyrant and Prince Heavenly Flame with a satisfied smile. Looking at this aura, Infinite Tyrant had probably reached the 3rd level of the Tyrant River technique. Old Fae, your dominating heaven sect has indeed produced a peerless genius. Hehe, Old Man Scarlet Flame, looking at the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram behind Jin Wudao. He should have reached the 3rd level as well. Indeed, ever since he lost to Infinite Tyrant in the last competition, Wudao has been training bitterly all these years. Finally, he has reached the 3rd layer of the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram. Paragon Scarlet Flame said with a smile. Old Fae, I heard that Infinite Tyrant wanted to break through to the spirit-detecting realm. I wonder if he succeeded. Another sovereign asked. Wuxia indeed has the ability to break through, but he didn't do so. You also know that the hegemonic chi of heavens and earth technique requires a sufficient amount of true dragon chi, so he plans to break through immediately after the Green Dragon gathering. Hearing this, several people sighed in their hearts. Ba Wuji was not even 30 years old, but he had already reached the spirit-detecting realm. With his talent, it was very likely that he would reach the Exalt realm before the age of 50. If that was the case, then Infinite Tyrant's future achievements would be limitless. He might even be able to break through to a higher level. One had to know that a spirit-detecting realm martial artist had a lifespan of over 500 years. Once one became a venerable realm martial artist, their lifespan would reach 1,000 years. Therefore, Infinite Tyrant had a high chance of breaking through to the realm above the venerable realm. The competition continued, and 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. The first stage of the competition was nearing its end. Soon, the True Dragon Geniuses would be ranked, and the second stage would be the True Dragon Genius ranking competition. The closer it was to the end, the crazier the battles became. Because this was their last chance, many people used their trump cards and fought with their lives on the line. Even if they couldn't compete with the True Dragon Geniuses, fighting with so many geniuses and accumulating some experience would be of great help to the next Green Dragon gathering. Finally, the first stage ended. According to the luster of each martial artist's battle armor, the top 72 were chosen. These 72 martial artists were the True Dragon Geniuses. The 4 huge arenas moved and merged together, forming a super large black and gold arena. At this moment, the super arena was emitting a faint light, forming a mysterious force that resonated with the battle armor of each contestant. The 5-colored battle armor on the 4 prodigies bloomed with light. The 4 of them were guided by the True Dragon Chi, and quickly arrived on the super arena. Then the 5 prodigies went on stage, followed by the martial artists in golden battle armor. Soon, the arena was filled with more than 20 people. Almost all of them were seniors who had participated in the previous Green Dragon gathering. At this moment, Lin Xian's light golden battle armor vibrated. He was guided to the super arena by an unknown force. Then Leng Yidao, Zhao Shui, Dongfang Xiong, and the others also came on stage. Soon, all 72 martial artists stood on the arena. These 72 points represented the top battle strength of the Tiannan region's younger generation. At the same time, they were the future hope of the Tiannan region. The martial artists below the arena looked at the 72 people on the super arena with envy. Among them, the disciples of the Great Flag sect were even more excited. Before this, they had never thought that Lin Xian would be able to enter the Green Dragon Geniuses list. But not only did Lin Xian enter, he even became one of the biggest dark horses. In the spectator stands, iron arms nodded continuously. To be honest, Lin Xian's performance was beyond his expectations. He originally thought that Lin Xian's limit was to enter the top 100. He did not expect that not only did Lin Xian enter the top 72, but judging from the color of his battle armor, he was at least in the top 40. Such a result had already surpassed the Great Flag sect's best record. However, at the same time, he was worried about the pressure from the Martial Alliance. He did not know why the Martial Alliance was investigating Lin Xian, but he believed that Lin Xian had nothing to do with the Black Dragon cult. In the ancient city, the 5 supremacies looked at the super arena with a solemn expression. Are we really not going to stop him? Supremacy Chihua asked in a deep voice. If he's really a Black Dragon cult member, we'll be in danger if he obtains the true Dragon Chi. Don't worry, this is only the beginning of the true Dragon Chi. The Black Dragon cult member won't be able to cause any trouble. Moreover, we're only suspecting. We don't have any proof. If Lin Xian isn't the Black Dragon cult member, and we attack him, wouldn't we alarm the real Black Dragon cult spy? Don't worry, before the Azure Dragon Genius ranking battle ends, I believe that the Black Dragon cult member will definitely give himself away. Supremacy Green Lotus said. In the super arena, Lin Xian felt the true Dragon Chi beneath him, and was extremely excited. After fighting for so long, he could finally obtain the true Dragon Chi. Soon he felt the true Dragon Chi beneath him vibrating. An unknown force flowed into his body through his feet. Boom! In the next moment his body was enveloped by the true Dragon Chi. He was not the only one. The 72 Azure Dragon Geniuses in the super arena were all enveloped by the true Dragon Chi. The true Dragon Chi covered the martial artists' bodies and transformed into true dragons, roaring ferociously. Among them, the true Dragon Chi on the 4 sky prides was the strongest. The 5-colored true dragon bared its fangs and claws as it roared into the sky. Chapter 468. The other 3 were more than 70 feet long. Behind them were the golden true dragon auras of the 5 heroes, which were about 60 feet long. Lin Xian's golden true dragon aura was about 15 feet long. At this moment, he was using the method that Wine Lord had taught him to sense, and used the true dragon aura in his body. Under the effect of his secret technique, the true dragon aura in his body spiraled and roared, finally fusing with the great dragon sword intent. The next moment, his soul seemed to have passed through the boundary of time and space, and arrived at a magical place. He saw an ancient building in front of him, as well as an ancient battlefield full of vicissitudes and murderous aura. In the deepest part of the battlefield, there was a divine sword stabbed into the ground. On the hilt of the sword was a ferocious dragon head with a savage aura. The sword was covered in dragon scales. However, the dragon-shaped divine sword was broken. Lin Xian was shocked. If he guessed correctly, that should be the great dragon sword. The great dragon sword is broken? Lin Xian was shocked. He looked again, trying his best to see clearly. However, the next moment, the scene suddenly changed. In a huge palace, there was an ancient altar. Black prismatic crystals floated around it and slowly rotated. In the center was the phantom of an azure dragon, which sometimes turned into a long sword and sometimes into an azure dragon. This is the great dragon sword soul. Lin Xian took a deep breath full of shock. At this moment, the true dragon aura in his body became weaker and weaker, and the scene in front of him became more and more blurry. However, just as the scene in front of him was about to disappear, he suddenly saw a figure not far away. It was a young man in a black robe. His face was fair and unusually handsome. The young man stared at the azure dragon phantom with a sinister smile on his face. Suddenly, he looked above the azure dragon phantom and frowned. Lin Xian was shocked. He did not know why there was someone here, and the black-robed young man seemed to have discovered his existence. Fortunately, The true dragon power in his body disappeared in the next moment, and the scene in front of him disappeared. Lin Xian's body trembled, and he came back to his senses. Only then did he realize that his forehead and back were covered in cold sweat. The black-robed young man's eyes were too sharp, as if they were going to pierce through him. "What do you think? Do you see it?" Wine Lord asked. Lin Xian used his soul power to communicate with Lord Alcohol, and told him everything he saw. Wine Lord fell silent after seeing this. "I know what you want to ask, but I don't know. When I was still in the outside world, the great dragon sword didn't have a core, and the sword body and sword spirit were still together. I don't know why, but the sword spirit left, and the great dragon sword broke. As for that black-robed young man, I don't recognize him either. However, he was actually able to find the location of the great dragon sword spirit. That is truly astonishing. Then will he obtain the great dragon sword?" Lin Xian asked worriedly. He had struggled for so long for the great dragon sword. It could be said that the great dragon sword was related to his future. Not only was it his capital to become stronger, but it was also his hope to save his family. Don't worry. Although he found the great dragon sword, according to the scene just now, he won't be able to get close to the great dragon sword soul in a short period of time. So you still have a chance. Hearing this, Lin Xian felt relieved. He had to obtain enough true dragon aura in this Azure Dragon Society. He had to find the exact location of the great dragon sword. The first stage of the Azure Dragon Society's elimination round had ended. Next was the second stage of the True Dragon Genius ranking battle. The ranking battle was also known as the challenge battle. Based on the amount of true dragon aura in each participant's body, they would be ranked accordingly. From the last place to the first place, they would be challenged one by one. Each participant had 3 chances to challenge. If a warrior won consecutively, it would count as a chance. If a lower-ranked warrior challenged a higher-ranked warrior, if he won, he would directly replace the opponent's ranking. On the other hand, if a higher-ranked warrior failed, he would lose the corresponding ranking. Hearing the rules, the 72 Azure Dragon geniuses in the Super Arena began to look at the participants around them. With only 3 chances, they had to formulate a challenge plan. Only then could they obtain more true dragon aura and a better ranking. Soon, everyone's initial ranking was revealed. Among the 4 prodigies, the first was still Infinite Tyrant, and the second was Heavenly Sword Goddess Zhou Jianying. The third was Crown Prince Heavenly Flame, and the fourth was Yin Shan. These 4 people's initial ranking was the same as last year. There was no change. After these 4 people, it was the 5 prodigies ranking. Leading the 5 prodigies was the godly knife sex Han Fei, who was also ranked 5th overall. The 6th was Yu Yan, the 7th was Lei Zhen, the 8th was Bing Ling, and the 9th was Xiao Yaosheng. Lin Xian was ranked 29th, the highest among the newcomers. Xie Yijian was ranked 32nd, Shui Yiren was ranked 35th, Zhao Shui was ranked 37th, and Dongfang Xiong was ranked 40th. Yin Hai was ranked 45th. Because Shang Guanhao was heavily injured in the fight with Lin Xian, he was ranked 50th in the end. Now that the rankings were out, it was time to challenge. The first to come out was the 72nd ranked warrior. It was his first time challenging the 70th ranked warrior. After a fierce battle, he won. The true dragon chi on his body increased, and his ranking also rose to 70th. Then he challenged the 65th ranked warrior. But this time he failed. After his failure, although he was still ranked 70th, his true dragon aura decreased by a lot. He did not use the remaining 2 challenges for the time being, choosing to keep them. Seeing this, everyone was more clear about the rules. It seemed that there were many benefits to winning a challenge. Not only did the ranking increase, but the true dragon aura also increased. Although the ranking did not change after a failure, the true dragon aura would decrease. Although this did not seem to affect the ranking, the final ranking was determined by the amount of true dragon aura in one's body. So even if the name did not change, if the true dragon aura in one's body was not enough, one's ranking would only drop. The challenges went on quickly, and everyone was cautiously observing to understand each other's strength. At this juncture, everyone could become an opponent, so they did not let down their guard. Not long after, Shang Guanhao stood up. He looked around, and when he looked at Lin Xian, there was a trace of hatred and deep fear in his eyes. Shang Guanhao was terrified of Lin Yin. He would never challenge Lin Xian again. His first opponent was the 46th ranked warrior. After being nourished by the true dragon aura, Shang Guanhao's injuries were much better. So with his strength, there was no suspense when he fought the 46th ranked warrior. Soon he blasted his opponent away. Then, he challenged a martial artist ranked 43rd, and won as well. After winning consecutively, Shang Guanhao's eyes shone. He had found his initial confidence. Then he stared at Dongfang Xiong. Since he could not attack Lin Xian, he could only attack Lin Xian's friends. No matter what, he had to vent his anger. Lin Xian smiled. He was not worried about Dongfang Xiong. That kid's talent was not inferior to his. Chapter 469. Seeing someone challenge him, Dongfang Xiong grinned. He rubbed his palms together and looked very excited. Great! Finally there's a fight. I'm dying of boredom. Come on, let's fight. Dongfang Xiong grinned and looked very expectant. Humph, you're courting death. Thunder wings. Shang Guanhao didn't plan to waste time with his opponent, so he used the thunder wings as soon as the fight started. He flapped his wings and came in front of Dongfang Xiong. The thunder hammer in his hand smashed toward Dongfang Xiong. Dragon Elephant Fist. Dongfang Xiong's body was covered with a layer of golden light. He punched out a terrifying fist toward the thunder hammer. Boom! The two collided, and the roar shook the world. The terrifying fist hit the thunder hammer, and countless cracks appeared on the latter. What? He actually cracked the hammer of thunder and lightning. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. Shang Guanhao's strength was obvious to all. If it weren't for his injury, his ranking wouldn't be so low. With his strength, it was very likely that he would make it to the top 30. Now, Dongfang Xiong had blasted the thunder hammer away, with only one punch. The scene was too terrifying. Damn it! Shang Guanhao's expression changed greatly. He quickly used the thunder essence, and condensed the thunder hammer again. With the thunder essence, the thunder hammer became more violent. Its power was enough to penetrate a warrior in the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm. However, Dongfang Xiong was not afraid. He punched again. The sky was full of golden light, and the roar kept echoing in the ancient city. This time, the thunder hammer was completely knocked away. It turned into countless thunder fragments in the air and scattered on the ground. What kind of power is this? It's too terrifying. It was smashed by the thunder hammer. Dongfang Xiong's terrifying power really shocked everyone. This young man with a silly smile was like an Archean fierce beast with unimaginable strength. Impossible. Shang Guanhao was terrified. He was once again shrouded by the shadow of failure. It's not over yet. Watch out for my bloodline power. The bloodline power in his body surged. A silver armor quickly formed on Shang Guanhao's body, and ancient thunder runes covered his body. After using the bloodline power, Shang Guanhao's strength increased again. He was like the thunder god, mighty and extraordinary. Bloodline power, I have it too. Dongfang Xiong's smile didn't change as the golden blood in his body surged. Golden light bloomed all over his body, and a golden phantom appeared behind him, as if it was going to cross time and space from ancient times. With a shake of his thunder wings, Shang Guanhao instantly appeared in front of Dongfang Xiong. The thunder hammer in his hand and thunder cry on his forehead released two terrifying rays of light at the same time. They intertwined and instantly pierced towards Dongfang Xiong's heart. However, Dongfang Xiong was not afraid. He waved his fist, and the golden shadow behind him did the same. That golden void was too terrifying. With just a raise of his hand, it contained boundless power, as if 100,000 mountains were trembling. Bang! With one punch, Shang Guanhao spat out blood and flew backward. Everyone was shocked. They had seen the power of Shang Guanhao's bloodline. That kind of pressure was enough to make people tremble. However, the power of Dongfang Xiong's bloodline seemed to be stronger. The golden shadow was so powerful that it could destroy everything in its path. It directly sent Shang Guanhao flying. Lin Xian wasn't surprised by Dongfang Xiong's victory. What surprised him was the bloodline power in Dongfang Xiong's body. That golden shadow made his heart palpitate. This kid's bloodline is unusual. It seems to be a bloodline on the myriad spirit list. Myriad spirit list? Lin Xian was puzzled. It's a list passed down from ancient times. All the bloodlines on the list have mysterious power, Wine Lord explained. It's said that the top bloodlines are even more powerful than the 5 swords of the world. Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked. The Great Dragon Sword was one of the 5 swords of the world. It represented offensive saint techniques. It was really amazing that the top bloodlines on the myriad spirit list had such magical power. After Shang Guanhao lost to Dongfang Xiong, he didn't continue to challenge. Instead, he walked out of the ring with a gloomy face. Not long after, it was Yin Hai's turn to fight. Yin Hai was the most outstanding disciple of the Yin family's younger generation. He was also a dark horse in the 3rd ring. He won consecutively in his first challenge, and was ranked 40th. Then he looked at Lin Xian. Anyway, he still had 2 more chances. He wasn't afraid of failure, so he wanted to challenge Lin Xian. Lin Xian's sword will was terrifying, but Yin Hai believed that he could definitely beat Lin Xian in terms of sword techniques. After receiving the challenge, Lin Xian's body swayed and came to the super ring. Holding the black scabbard, Lin Xian's aura became extremely fierce. Misty Cloud Sword Technique. Yin Hai stabbed out with his long sword. It was like an antelope hanging its horn, without a trace. The ethereal sword and the fleeting sword light were indeed impossible to guard against. However, Lin Xian smiled slightly. Holding the Star of Extinction sword, Lin Xian quickly performed the returning wind-whisking willow sword. The sword light flashed like a breeze in willow branches. It was unusually soft and contained endless killing intent. Ding! 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 The sound of metal colliding suddenly rang out in the void. Countless sparks and sparks flew. The 2 long swords collided, and the blades collided with unusual precision. He blocked it. How is that possible? The Yin family disciples were shocked. Yin Hai was even more shocked. His Misty Cloud Sword technique was at the greater success stage. If Lin Xian used his sword will to forcefully break his sword technique, he could still accept it. However, Lin Xian didn't use his sword will. He only used his superb sword techniques to break his sword technique. Is the gap between us that big? Yin Hai felt bitter. In the next moment, Lin Xian's sword technique suddenly changed. Wind Emperor's sword. The sword light disappeared and merged with the wind. This sword was even stranger than the Misty Cloud sword technique. What? I can't sense it. Yin Hai was terrified. He couldn't sense Lin Xian's sword aura at all. With a soft sound, Yin Hai's defense was broken, and a sword mark appeared. The cold sword edge drew across his chest, causing his hair to stand on end. I admit defeat. Yin Hai's face turned green as he admitted defeat. Lin Xian kept his sword and stood calmly. At this moment, Yin Hai finally knew the gap between the 2 of them. Lin Xian was very strong, far above him. After this match, the Yin family disciples were shocked. However, the other 2 Kendo families' interest in Lin Xian increased greatly. Especially Xiejian, Shuiren kept staring at Lin Xian. He couldn't wait to fight now. However, it wasn't their turn yet. The 2 of them could only wait. Then Zhao Shui went on stage. Relying on her strange soul attack, she reached the 33rd place in her first try. With 2 more chances left, Zhao Shui stepped down. Soon, a young man in a white robe walked up. This person had a fair face and a handsome appearance. However, his smile gave people a very dangerous feeling. It's actually Shuiren. I didn't expect it to be his turn. I wonder who he will challenge this time. Who knows what this madman is thinking? However, I know that whoever he challenges will be unlucky. Chapter 470. On the stage, Shui Ren revealed a cruel expression. He pulled out his sword and stabbed towards Lin Xian. What, he wants to challenge Lin Xian? Everyone exclaimed. Normally, when a martial artist challenged someone, they would first challenge someone they were more confident in. This way, they could increase their ranking in True Dragon Chi as much as possible. Then, they would try to challenge someone they were interested in. But this Shui Ren actually challenged Lin Xian right from the start. This was really out of everyone's expectations. One had to know that Lin Xian was strong enough to be ranked in the top 20. Even some seniors didn't dare to challenge him, let alone Shui Yirun. Could it be that he has the confidence to defeat Lin Xian? Who knows, he's a madman. Lin Xian also frowned slightly. He had also seen Shui Yirun's matches, and he was indeed a madman. Because in battle, Shui Yirun was completely crazy. He didn't care whether he was injured or not, and only focused on attacking the enemy. There was once when he even risked being injured to defeat the enemy. However, what was shocking was his powerful recovery ability. No matter how heavy the injury, it seemed that he would be able to recover in a short time. This was the reason why he dared to go crazy. Since he was challenged by this madman, Lin Xian could only end the battle quickly. His body emitted a sharp sword intent, as if it wanted to tear the sky apart, and slashed towards Shui Yirun. Shui Yirun pursed his lips, and his eyes revealed a trace of madness. The blood-colored sword in his hand turned into a blood-colored light, and also quickly stabbed out. Behind him, the blood-colored sword intent condensed into a blood-colored killing sword, floating in the air. The two sword intents collided, and countless sword chi flew out in all directions. Deep sword marks were left on the hard black crystal ground. Everyone was shocked, and quickly left the stage. It had to be said that the two sword intents were too terrifying. Not only did they cut open the abnormally hard ground, but they also caused the void to distort. Lin Xian's great dragon sword intent was incomparably sharp, as if it could cut through everything. Shui Yirun's blood-colored sword intent, on the other hand, carried a shocking killing intent. The two quickly attacked, and terrifying sword chi swept out in all directions. Shui Yirun's eyes flashed with madness as he stabbed his sword towards Lin Xian's chest. Lin Xian also stabbed at Shui's chest, but Shui didn't dodge at all. Lin Xian sighed. As expected of a lunatic. If it was a normal person, they would have run away long ago. He didn't want to fight head-on with the other party. He didn't have the terrifying healing ability of the other party. With a tap of his foot, he used the illusory demonic steps to escape. At the same time, he used the phantom sword art. Countless sword chi surged, forming an illusory sword formation in the air, enveloping Shui. The phantom sword was a combination of physical and illusory attacks. It could be said that it was even more unpredictable than the misty cloud sword art. Moreover, under the influence of Lin Xian's great dragon sword will, it became even sharper. The phantom sword formation released countless terrifying sword chi that slashed toward the Shui man. Among these sword chi, there were real and fake ones, bewitching everyone's minds. Puff puff. Shui Yirun roared. He had been careless and suffered a hidden loss. The phantom sword chi had almost chopped off his arm. Demonic blood sword. The divine sword behind him that was dripping with blood emitted a bewitching light as it slashed down rapidly. Dozens of huge blood-colored sword chi slashed down, tearing apart the layers of encirclement and blasting the phantom sword formation apart. At this moment, Lin Xian used the illusory demonic steps and arrived behind Shui. The Wind Emperor mercilessly attacked, and a terrifying sword chi pierced into Shui's body. Shui's body trembled, and blood gushed out crazily. However, he suddenly turned his head, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. The blood-colored sword chi pierced out, slashing toward Lin Xian. Shui didn't care about his own injuries, and blindly slashed out 3 times toward Lin Xian. One of the slashes even merged with the blood-colored divine sword behind him. Lin Xian quickly retreated, but he was still swept by the blood-colored sword chi. In an instant, his defense was cut open, and the blood-colored sword chi hit his body, leaving a sword mark. At the crucial moment, he used the illusory demonic steps to the extreme and quickly dodged. Even so, he was still injured. Lin Xian frowned. Shui was just like the rumors. They didn't care about their lives. They were simply lunatics. Although Lin Xian suffered a loss, Shui's situation was even worse. A terrifying sword chi mark appeared on his body, and his bones were already visible. However, Shui didn't care at all. The blood-colored divine sword behind him emitted a bright light, and a few drops of fist-sized blood flowed into his body. Soon, the sword chi mark quickly fused, leaving behind a shocking scar. Then he revealed a sinister smile again. Damn, it healed so quickly. What kind of sword intent is this? Its recovery ability is too abnormal. This is an unkillable cockroach. Everyone's expression changed. Although the wound was healed, Shui was still shocked. Lin Xian's sword intent was too terrifying, and there was still a trace of it left in his body. He could only suppress it temporarily. After pondering for a while, Shui decided to use his strongest attack to quickly end the battle. He raised the long sword in his hand and merged it with the blood-colored divine sword behind him, slashing out a sword chi. The void distorted, and the blood-colored sword chi quickly descended with a terrifying momentum. The gigantic blood-colored sword chi filled the sky, emitting a terrifying killing intent, like a blood-colored river hanging in the sky. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts, and the cold killing intent made them tremble. Wind and lightning sword. Lin Xian quickly merged the power of wind and lightning, and struck out a terrifying sword attack. The sword chi collided, and the sound shook the sky. At the point of collision, countless sword ripples were released, spreading out in all directions like waves. The two sword intents rampaged wildly, as if they wanted to cut the void into pieces. Everyone was shocked. This kind of power was enough to kill a mid-stage flower spirit realm martial artist, especially the blood sword intent, which could destroy one's soul. However, such a terrifying move was still blocked by Lin Xian. Not only that, everyone noticed that the blood-colored sword chi in the sky was quickly spreading to both sides, as if it was being split apart. That's right, it was being split apart. Lin Xian's wind and lightning sword chi split apart the blood-colored sword chi. The wind and lightning sword chi merged with the power of wind and lightning, and its power was beyond imagination. After the blood-colored sword chi was split apart, Shui's face was filled with shock. However, he didn't have much time to think, as a sword light arrived in front of him. In a panic, he could only summon the blood-colored divine sword in front of him to block it. Boom! Chi-chi! Lin Xian's terrifying sword light sent him flying, and the blood-colored divine sword became dim. I admit defeat, Shui gritted his teeth, and said when he saw the dim blood-colored divine sword. He was called a lunatic, but he wasn't really a lunatic. The reason why he dared to fight without caring about his life was because of the blood-colored divine sword. The blood in the blood-colored sword chi's shadow could allow him to recover quickly, which was why his fighting style was to harm himself. But now Lin Xian had almost split his blood-colored divine sword in half, which terrified him. Therefore, he could only choose to admit defeat. Fuck, even this lunatic admitted defeat. Lin Xian is too scary. Yeah, looking at his strength, he definitely has the possibility of getting into the top 20. As expected of the biggest dark horse among the newcomers, his strength was really powerful. Chapter 471. At this moment, the true dragon geniuses were also shocked. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they would not provoke Lin Xian again. However, not everyone thought this way. Xie Yijian stared at Lin Xian with the terrifying battle intent in his eyes. As a swordsman, he would sooner or later fight with Lin Xian. Moreover, he believed that although Lin Xian's attack power was terrifying, he would not be able to dodge his fast sword. After defeating Shui Yiren, Lin Xian's true dragon chi became even more powerful, almost reaching 6 feet. With this true dragon chi, Lin Xian found that his absorption speed of the black dragon flame had also increased. Returning to the resting area, Lin Xian quickly absorbed the black dragon flame. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the early stage of the spirit transformation realm, and would soon reach the middle stage. If this cultivation speed were to spread out, it would definitely scare a lot of people to death. However, the reason why he was able to improve so quickly was mainly because of the black dragon flame. The energy contained in the black dragon flame was too terrifying. It had to be known that it had once tortured a venerable for nearly 100 years. So one could imagine how much energy it contained. Lin Xian had been absorbing for so long, but he had only absorbed about 1/5 of it. In the battle with Shui Yiren, Lin Xian had shocked the majority of the people, so no one dared to challenge him during this time. He was also happy to do so. While cultivating, he also tasted the fusion of concepts and the power of thunder and fire. However, the fusion of concepts was more difficult than he had imagined. On the contrary, the fusion of the power of thunder and fire was almost complete. At the same time, During this time, he had been comprehending the divine sword visualization diagram, so his sword intent had also increased. Although he had not yet broken through to the 8th layer, he had made a lot of progress compared to before. Just as Lin Xian continued to cultivate, Xie Yijian went on stage. He first challenged the 30th ranked martial artist. In the end, his opponent was defeated without seeing his sword move. Then Xie Yijian looked at Lin Xian. The battle intent in his eyes continued to rise. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect Xie Yijian to also challenge Lin Xian. Compared to Shui Yiren's crazy fighting style, Xie Yijian's fast sword was even more shocking. Because until now, no one had been able to see the trajectory of his sword. It was too fast, so fast that before anyone could react, the battle had already ended. I think Xie Yijian might be able to defeat Lin Xian. After all, no one can dodge his fast sword. Yes, even the 30th ranked martial artist could not resist his fast sword. Not necessarily. I think Lin Xian is more dangerous. Don't forget about his terrifying sword will. Once his sword will is unleashed, it can destroy everything. Everyone had different opinions. They were all looking forward to this match. Lin Xian gladly accepted Xie Yijian's challenge. As a swordsman, he wanted to fight with all kinds of swordsmen. Moreover, Xie Yijian was known as the king of fast swords, which aroused his great interest. Whether or not he could block Xie Yijian's swift sword, Lin Xian was not completely sure. After all, watching and personally experiencing were two different things. Xie Xian's Xian Xie Xie Bi, Yijian Xie Xie was Xie Xie Xian, and used to the Iran Xiu quickly Long Xie Yijian sheathed his sword, as if he had never moved. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a smile on his face. However, a deep sword mark appeared under his feet. What happened? What just happened? Everyone was surprised. They did not understand. The sword mark on the ground indicated that Xie Yijian had already made his move. But why was Lin Xian not injured? The sword mark was very deep and terrifying. It was impossible for Lin Xian not to resist. But the two clearly did not move. Most people didn't understand, but those who were ranked at the top frowned. As peerless geniuses, they could naturally see what had just happened. In that instant, both of them moved, but their speed was too fast. Xie Yijian used the fast sword drawing technique and sheathed his sword. Lin Xian, on the other hand, quickly turned his body, dodging the sword qi, and quickly returned to his original position. Because the two's speed was extremely fast, it looked as if they had not moved at all. When everyone heard this, they were so shocked that their jaws dropped. The two's speed was too shocking. They had actually deceived everyone's eyes. Fortunately, both of them were monstrous geniuses. If it was another ordinary spirit transformation realm martial artist, they would have been instantly killed. To be able to dodge my sword drawing technique, interesting. Xie Yijian's eyes flashed. However, it won't be so easy to dodge next. He gripped the sword at his waist again. Lin Xian also held the star extinction sword, ready to attack. The sword light flashed, and the terrifying sword qi instantly arrived in front of him. So fast, Lin Xian's pupil shrank. The speed of this sword was several times faster than before. He used the illusory demon steps and quickly dodged. However, the sword qi still cut through more than half of his defense. Everyone below the stage was shocked. Such a fast sword. Lin Xian's defense was actually broken. As expected of the king of the fast sword, Zhao Shui's face was filled with worry. Even with her powerful soul force, she was unable to completely lock onto the sword qi. Presumably, Lin Xian was also the same. Stinking brat, nothing must happen to you. Zhao Shui prayed in her heart. The Xie family disciples revealed smiles. Lin Xian was very strong, but against Xie Yijian, his chances of winning were not high. You actually dodged it again. It seems your strength is really strong. However, you definitely won't be able to dodge the next sword. Xie Yijian was very confident. Fast concept. In the next moment the sword qi flashed. This sword seemed to cross the limit of distance. The sword qi instantly arrived in front of Lin Xian. It's actually a concept. Lin Xian was shocked. No wonder Xie Yijian's speed was so fast. He actually comprehended the fast concept. Thinking of this, he quickly used the wind concept, causing the surrounding air to quickly move. The blue air trembled, forming a great resistance. Xie Yijian's sword qi, under the effect of the wind concept, revealed its true form. What, this is also possible? Everyone was shocked. This was the first time they saw Xie Yijian's sword qi. The sword qi paused for a moment, cutting through the air resistance. This only happened in a split second, but it was enough time. Lin Xian used his extreme footwork and arrived at a safe place. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. He was right. No matter how fast the sword qi was, it still needed to move in the air. As long as the air resistance increased, it could slow down the speed of the sword qi. Therefore, to defeat Xie Yijian, one did not need to be faster than him, but only needed to slow down the speed of the sword qi. What a strong resistance! Xie Yijian's face sank. Then he sneered, "Don't think that you can block my sword qi like this." Sword burst. Xie Yijian once again pulled out his sword. This time, in addition to the terrifying speed, it also carried a berserk power. Wherever it passed, the air exploded like a sudden clap of thunder. Lin Xian's wind concept was affected, becoming extremely unstable, causing his influence on the sword qi to weaken to the extreme. Lin Xian was once again in danger from the sword qi. Fortunately, his illusory demon steps was very powerful, allowing him to narrowly avoid the sword qi. However, this was not a solution. After a long time, he was likely to be hit again. Chapter 472. Lin Xian displayed the concept of wind around his body, and then superimposed the concept of thunder on top of it. Although the two concepts could not completely fuse, the power was much stronger than the concept of wind alone. Superimposing concepts, this kid really dares to think, Xiao Yaosheng exclaimed. One had to know that concepts were extremely mysterious. Most people could not comprehend them, let alone superimposing them. Therefore, when everyone saw Lin Xian superimposing the two concepts of wind and thunder together, they were very shocked. Even the four great prodigies showed a dignified expression. The concept of wind and thunder appeared, once again slowing down the speed of the fast sword. Taking this opportunity, Lin Xian began to counterattack. However, the concept of speed could not only be used on sword techniques, but also on movement techniques. Therefore, Xie Yijian's movement technique was equally terrifying. When Lin Xian swung his long sword, he had already arrived at another place. In the world of martial arts, only speed is invincible. Therefore, you cannot defeat me. Xie Yijian was very confident. As long as he attacked a few more times, he would be able to cut apart Lin Xian's concept of wind and thunder. At that time he would win. The concept of speed, what a terrifying concept. This kind of speed already allows Xie Yijian to stand in an invincible position. Looks like this time Lin Xian is really going to lose. There is no other way. In the world of martial arts, only speed is invincible. Not to mention Lin Xian, even the top 20 martial artists may not be able to break Xie Yijian's concept of speed. Unless he is like the four great prodigies, crushing him with absolute strength. Am I going to lose? Lin Xian frowned. To tell the truth, Xie Yijian's speed really gave him a lot of trouble. His concept of wind and thunder was not mature enough. If it reached 60 to 70%, it would be easy to defeat Xie Yijian. But now, it seemed that he could not rely on the power of wind and thunder. He needed to find another way. Let's end this. On the opposite side, Xie Yijian's aura surged. It seemed that he was going to use some kind of consummate skill. Looks like I can only use that move. Lin Xian clenched the Star Extinction Sword. Facing Xie Yijian's concept of speed, Lin Xian decided to use his trump card once again. Heavenly Meteor. It's useless. No matter what you use, you can't keep up with my speed. Xie Yijian was very confident. But in the next moment, his pupils suddenly shrank. That was because he saw Lin Xian becoming one with his sword and transforming into a dazzling sword aura, rushing towards him like a dazzling meteor. That speed was even faster than his concept of speed. This is impossible. Xie Yijian was horrified. He used his concept of speed and dodged to the side. Two streaks of light flashed in the arena, before disappearing like shooting stars. Everyone opened their eyes wide, and craned their necks to look at the arena. In the arena, Lin Xian held his sword with both hands. His face was rather pale, and there was blood dripping from the tip of his sword. Could it be that Xie Yijian is injured? Everyone looked to the other side. Of Xie Yijian's sword. Of Xie Yijian. What kind of sword technique is this? Speed Xie. Xie Yijian covered the wound on his left arm. His heart was in turmoil. Ever since he comprehended the concept of speed, he had never been defeated. This time he challenged Lin Xian. He wanted to destroy his opponent's limelight and win the title of the #1 swordsman of the younger generation. However, he did not expect Lin Xian to have such a unique skill. His speed even surpassed his own. Who is this guy? His sword technique is so powerful. Xie Yijian's eyes were uncertain. Lin Xian once again proved his strength with his powerful sword technique. This time, even Zhou Jianying of the 4 heavenly prides gave Lin Shua a few more glances. Your sword technique is good, but your cultivation is too weak. Maybe you can enter the top 10 next time. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect that this genius would give such a high evaluation. Then, everyone had a general understanding of Lin Xian's strength. This time, Lin Xian's strength was at most between 10th and 20th. This was already very terrifying. It was Lin Xian's first time participating, and he was only 18 years old. This talent was second only to the 4 geniuses. Enter the top 10 in the next tournament. Lin Xian smiled faintly. With his current strength, he could only enter the top 10 next time. However, he still had the powerful 70% sword intent as a trump card. His strength was increasing every moment. To be honest, as he absorbed more and more energy from the black dragon flame, he did not know how strong he would become. However, he was sure of one thing. He would enter the ranks of the 5 geniuses at the very least. The following matches were boring. The challengers did not take any risks. Instead, they chose opponents that they were confident in. Just as the matches were going on, the 5 venerables in the ancient city once again received news of Lin Xian's identity. A spirit-detecting realm martial artist said respectfully, "Venerables, we have found Lin Xian's origin." "Oh, speak." "He comes from a small country at the border, the Xia country." "The Xia country? Wasn't it already occupied by the Black Dragon sect?" Venerable Scarlet Flame frowned. "It seems that Lin Xian is most likely a spy sent by the Black Dragon sect. According to our intelligence, Lin Xian seemed to have been chased by the Black Dragon sect. As for what happened after that, and whether he joined the Black Dragon sect, it is still unknown. However, I heard that he had a conflict with the Black Dragon sect's Black Heart Hall in the Tianshan country. Moreover, he also attacked the Black Dragon sect." The 5 venerables were silent. The evidence now showed that Lin Xian was most likely a spy from the Black Dragon sect. "What are you waiting for? Quickly capture him and torture him," Venerable Scarlet Flame said. "What do you think?" Venerable Green Lotus asked. "To be honest, I don't believe that Lin Xian is a spy. After all, someone who can comprehend that kind of sword intent would not submit to the Black Dragon sword," Venerable Sword said. "Moreover, Lin Xian has had many conflicts with the Black Dragon sect. He shouldn't be a spy from the Black Dragon sect." "How about this? Wait until the 3rd round," Venerable Green Lotus said. To be honest, Lin Xian's talent was shocking. If there were no accidents, he could become another sword genius. If such a person could be used by the Martial League, there might be another Venerable in the future. Therefore, Venerable Sword and Venerable Green Lotus did not want to make a move unless there was no other choice. Below, Lin Xian did not know that danger was getting closer and closer to him. It was now his turn to challenge, so he stood up and walked to the stage. In his first challenge, he won consecutively and reached the 19th rank. In his first challenge, he entered the top 20. His strength was too strong. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian was one of the new geniuses who entered the top 20. If there were no accidents, his ranking would be stable in the top 20. Lei Zhen snorted and looked at Lin Xian with killing intent in his eyes. He would not allow Lin Xian to enter the top 20. Even if Lin Xian entered, he would beat him back. The challenges continued, and soon, martial artists began to issue challenges to the 5 heroes. Chapter 473. The two went up the stage and greeted each other. The 13th warrior was a disciple of the Heavenly Fire sect. Although he wasn't as strong as the Heavenly Fire Crown Prince, he was still a top genius. On his body, there were flame patterns floating and jumping, emitting a mysterious and scorching power. Bing Ling was a peerless genius of the Ice Crystal Valley. She wore a blue dress, and her black hair was slightly curly. Her fair face had a chill. Around her, there were ice crystal ripples and snowflakes dancing in the air. On the ground, ice began to form and spread rapidly. In an instant, the area within 100 feet turned into a world of ice and snow. Humph! The Heavenly Fire sect disciple snorted and shot out several fiery light pillars. At the same time, he waved his hands, forming a wave-like palm wind that turned into a sea of fire. Bing Ling waved her ice staff and spun it rapidly. Frost danced in the air, as if it was going to freeze one's soul. Ice and fire, two opposite attributes, collided on the stage, emitting a violent aura. Everyone was shocked and retreated. The two forces were too powerful, and the impact of their collision was even more terrifying. The ice crystal flames had spread to the edge of the stage. How terrifying! As expected of a top genius. Lin Xian looked up and saw that the flames around the Heavenly Fire sect disciple were frozen, forming fiery ice crystals. Endless cold air surged towards him, as expected of one of the 5 heroes. This ice is too shocking. It can even freeze flames. I'm afraid that in terms of attributes, only the Heavenly Fire Crown Prince can restrain her. The Heavenly Fire sect disciple's face was gloomy. He circulated his spiritual energy, and 2 fire dragons appeared behind him, intertwining to form a mysterious pattern. This is the fire dragon pattern, everyone exclaimed. Legend has it that the fire dragon pattern can burn everything. Suppress! The Heavenly Fire sect disciple shouted coldly as the fire dragon pattern behind him rapidly expanded to cover the front. Traces of scorching flames spewed out from the dragon's head and surged towards the ice crystals below. Soon, the ice sculptures melted as if they would crack at any moment. Ice ceiling throne. Her voice was cold as she waved her ice staff. A blue figure appeared behind her and sat cross-legged on the throne. The figure was abnormally tall and emitted an extremely cold aura, as if it could freeze everything in the world. The blue figure waved his hand, and a blue aura crashed into the fire dragon pattern in the sky. The iceberg and the sea of fire collided fiercely in the void, as if a huge explosion had occurred. In the end, it was the ice spirit who used her powerful cultivation to forcibly seal the fire dragon diagram. The fierce battle ended just like that. The ice spirit sealed the fire dragon diagram with her powerful ice power. The Heavenly Fire sect disciple did not dare continue fighting and could only surrender. After that, a few more martial artists challenged the 5 heroes. Xiao Yaosheng held a folding fan in his hand as his figure fluttered in the air. He was exceptionally confident as he defeated his opponent while talking and laughing. Lei Zhen's body was covered with lightning and was incomparably violent. Anyone who fought with him was unable to get close to him. No one could block Yu Yan's illusionary arts. Han Fei was even more terrifying. No one could resist his saber light. The challenges continued. Soon Xiao Yaosheng went up. His opponent was Lei Zhen. The two of them exchanged blows. The momentum was terrifying, and lightning filled the sky. Xiao Yaosheng leisurely strolled in the sea of lightning, his fan shadows surging. The two of them first competed with their moves, and then it was a battle of wills. Their terrifying and wonderful methods made people gasp in admiration. In the end, it was still Lei Zhen who won slightly and defeated Xiao Yaosheng. Then the ice spirit also challenged Han Fei. Terrifying saber intent soared into the sky. Han Fei attacked with all his might, striking out saber shadows that filled the sky. The ice spirit waved her staff, striking out icebergs that rushed into the sky. The void trembled as the dark blue mountain shadow in the sky charged forward. The two spiritual forces collided, and violent energy overflowed, as if it was going to tear the void apart. Space-splitting cross-slash. Han Fei waved his saber, and 2 huge cross-shaped saber beams formed in the air, rushing towards the ice spirit. Everywhere they passed, everything was shattered. Phoenix danced 9 heavens. The ice spirit's staff spun, forming a huge ice phoenix around her that flew into the sky. The saber beams and the ice phoenix collided, and the sky fell into an energy vortex. Some of the martial artists who were closer were affected, bleeding from their mouths and noses as they fell to the ground. The other martial artists were horrified as they frantically retreated, fearing that they would be affected. Lin Xian's figure fluttered. At the same time, 2 beams of sword qi rushed out from his body, shattering the violent energy that rushed towards him. As expected of the 5 heroes, they are indeed powerful. He sighed. With his strength, he would probably need to go all out to compete with these people. When everything calmed down, the crowd looked towards the arena. In the arena, Han Fei stood with a saber in his hand, with a thick layer of ice on his body. On the opposite side, the ice spirit's chest rose and fell rapidly, and her forehead was covered with a layer of sweat. On her shoulder, a very thin saber mark appeared. Drops of round blood beads flowed out. The ice spirit smiled bitterly. She knew that Han Fei had shown mercy just now. I admit defeat. She shook her head. Your ice power is very strong. I'm afraid it will only take a few years for you to freeze me. Han Fei put away his long saber. He was also shocked. If it weren't for his strong saber intent, he would have been frozen just now. The battle between the two was very exciting. While the crowd was still reminiscing, Lei Jun had already come to the arena. In an instant, half of the arena was covered by a sea of thunder. Lin Xian, come up and die. Lei Jun's voice was loud and clear, like the roar of the thunder god. What? He wants to challenge Lin Xian? The crowd was shocked. This was the first time that a high-level martial artist challenged a low-level martial artist, and the gap between their ranks was very big. The crowd was excited. Lei Jun must be avenging Sheng Guanhao. I'm afraid Lin Xian is unlucky. Lei Jun is quite strong. Isn't it better to get rid of an opponent? Many people sneered. They couldn't beat Lin Xian, so they naturally hoped that someone could defeat him. However, Zhao Shui, Dongfang Xiong, and the others were worried. Although Lin Xian was strong, it was still too difficult for him to defeat Lei Jun. If it was the next competition, with Lin Xian's talent, there would be some hope. Lin Xian's face was cold. Lei Jun was definitely a terrible opponent. He slightly sensed the spiritual power in his body, and found that he would soon reach the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm. Well, let's see what the strength of the 5 heroes is. Lin Xian clenched the black scabbard, and walked into the arena. How many moves do you think Lin Xian can withstand? Don't be silly. He'll definitely admit defeat, as soon as he comes up. One had to know that with his results, he could definitely enter the top 20. If he was injured by Lei Jun, his strength would be damaged, and his ranking would drop greatly. The crowd discussed and thought that Lin Xian would admit defeat as soon as possible. Lei Jun's voice was cold when he saw Lin Xian walk up. I won't give you a chance to admit defeat. Then a pair of 100-meter-long lightning wings appeared behind him, and he disappeared in a flash. Lin Xian quickly retreated. He wouldn't admit defeat. What? He didn't admit defeat? The crowd was shocked. Is Lin Xian really going to fight Lei Jun? Chapter 474. Puff, puff, puff. Countless phantoms were destroyed. Lei Jun was like a bolt of blue lightning, quickly moving around the arena. Everyone was dizzy. Their eyes hurt from staring, but they still couldn't see the two's movements clearly. Whoosh! Lei Jun suddenly appeared and quickly rose into the sky. High in the sky, he channeled all the spiritual energy in his body, and formed countless lightning feathers. Lightning feathers! These lightning feathers were like thousands of arrows piercing down. The entire arena was covered by the terrifying lightning feathers. What a terrifying move! Lin Xian can't hide anymore. The audience below exclaimed. Sure enough, the sky full of lightning feathers made Lin Xian appear. But in the next moment, a glaring sword light flashed and swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, quickly slashing out. A huge sword qi of 100 meters long swept across and slashed upwards. The sky full of lightning feathers forcibly cut open a huge crack in the sky. Kid, they'll let you know the true power of a lightning sect disciple. Lei Jun was like a lightning god, standing in the void. The lightning aura on his body crushed the surroundings. With a point of his finger, The huge lightning turned into a flood dragon and rushed down. Today, I'll use your lightning to improve my gold lightning body. Lin Xian roared. Waving the star extinction sword, dozens of sword chi rushed into space. Boom, 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 boom. The lightning dragon and the terrifying sword chi collided, and the two energies burst out with extreme power. Chi. The thunder flood dragon let out a wail as it was cut in half. Lin Xian secretly channeled the devouring sword, forming a devouring power that quickly absorbed the lightning dragon. What? Lin Xian is absorbing lightning again? He's dead. Lei Zhen will definitely be furious. Sure enough, seeing Lin Xian absorb lightning again, Lei Zhen's face became ferocious. Flapping his wings, he turned into a lightning bolt and tore through the void. Lightning wings flight technique. Lightning flashed, and Lei Zhen's real body appeared behind Lin Xian. The lightning trident in his hand pierced out, and the lightning essence spread out. At this moment, the entire sky was covered by a sea of lightning. The sky shook, and cracks appeared on the hard ground of the arena from the lightning strikes. Clang, clang, clang. Lin Xian twisted his body and waved his absolute star sword, which collided with the lightning trident. The afterimage disappeared, and the sword chi of thunder light swept across. The two of them exchanged several moves. Lei Zhen's hair stood on end as he roared towards the sky. His aura suddenly increased greatly. His lightning trident instantly blasted Lin Xian away. Descent of the Thunder God. In the next moment, the lightning on his body surged, forming a huge lightning giant. Terrifying pressure spread out in all directions, as if it was going to tear the space apart. Lin Xian was sent flying by the lightning and slid far away. At this moment, a terrifying lightning palm descended. Boom! Lin Xian was pinned down, and the entire ground caved in. It's over. He's been caught. He definitely won't be able to escape. Looks like we can only admit defeat. Everyone sighed. Humph, you can't even withstand a single blow. Lei Zhen controlled the huge lightning giant and looked around disdainfully. He exerted force in his palm, and the lightning crazily pressed down on Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt the space around him being squeezed, as if countless giant mountains were moving, as if they were going to crush him into meat paste. Absorb for me. Lin Xian's eyes revealed a trace of madness. He quickly used the devouring sword and began to absorb the lightning energy. To be honest, although he was trapped, it wasn't difficult for him to escape. As long as he used 70% of his sword intent, he could break the lightning palm. However, he didn't do that. Thank you for your divine thunder of annihilation. Lin Xian laughed. Lei Zhen's expression became very ugly. Not only was his opponent not dead, his strength had increased greatly. This was a slap to his face. It was a slap to the lightning sect's face. Die for me! The lightning trident pierced out, forming two lightning lasers that shot toward Lin Xian. Try my golden thunder body. Lin Xian punched out, and his golden fist rushed into the void. The sky was filled with golden light, dazzling everyone's eyes. Boom! Lin Xian took a step back as the two bolts of lightning in the sky shattered with a loud bang. What? He broke Lei Zhen's attack with his bare hands. The crowd exclaimed. Lin Xian, who was at a disadvantage a moment ago, had become so powerful. What kind of body refining technique is this? It's so terrifying. Dong Fengxiong stared at Lin Xian's golden thunder body, his eyes shining. What a terrifying power. Imaging again. The crowd was speechless. Only Dong Fengxiong, with his abnormal body constitution, could compete with Lin Xian. Lei Zhen's eyes flashed coldly. He didn't expect Lin Xian's strength to increase so much. It seems that if I don't show my true strength, you won't know how powerful I am. Lei Zhen's body quickly descended. Thunder transformation. Chapter 475. The situation was similar to Shangguan Hao's. However, Lei Zhen's lightning form was much more powerful than Shangguan Hao's. Lightning flashed and covered Lei Zhen's body with a layer of lightning armor. Even his head was covered. Behind him, there was a 2-meter-long tail covered with lightning thorns. It was terrifying. The lightning tail swung and immediately smashed a groove in the hard ground. After the transformation, Lei Zhen was like a lightning monster, full of explosive power. He took a step forward and rushed forward like lightning. Wherever he went, the void would be torn apart. He used the thunder essence to the extreme, and a terrifying pressure enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian slashed out with the wind and thunder essences. However, Lei Zhen's thunder essence was too powerful. Lin Xian's sword qi was cut in half. Boom! The lightning trident fell and tore the ground. Lin Xian quickly retreated with a dignified look. In that strike just now, Lei Zhen's concept of thunder had probably reached 70%. This level of thunder essence was far beyond his wind and thunder essence. It seems that I can only use the dragon sword essence. Facing Lei Zhen's thunder essence, Lin Xian held the star sword tightly. In the next moment, a ferocious and sharp sword intent erupted from his body. It's useless. Even your sword essence can't resist my thunder essence. Lei Zhen's expression was cold as he strode forward. Soon, Lin Xian's sword essence reached 50%. However, he didn't make a move. Instead, he continued to increase it. What? His sword essence increased again? How is this possible? Oh my god, is he still holding back his sword essence? At this moment, everyone was shocked. Especially the disciples of the three Kendo families. They looked as if they had seen a ghost. 60% sword essence. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with sword light. It wasn't enough. He activated the dragon sword essence in his body again. According to his estimation, Lei Zhen's thunder essence had reached 70%. Therefore, he also planned to activate his sword essence. With a dragon roar, the azure dragon sword qi surged out of Lin Xian's body and roared ferociously. At this moment, the weapons on the surrounding warriors all trembled. It was as if he was bowing to the center of the arena. This is 70% sword intent. Everyone was shocked and gripped their weapons tightly. 70% sword intent. Lin Xian actually possesses 70% sword intent. Is this his trump card? At this moment, Xie Yijian, Shui Yiren, and the others were all shocked. With their strength, they were completely unable to contend against 70% sword intent. If Lin Xian went all out, they would not even be able to withstand a single strike. This guy is too scary. Is he really a newbie? I'm afraid he will become the second Zhou Jianying. Many people believed that as long as Lin Xian continued to grow, he would sooner or later become one of the four great prodigies. 70% sword intent. Yi Daolong sucked in a breath of cold air. He had originally planned to fight with Lin Xian, but now it seemed that the chances were slim. Beside him, Han Fei comforted him. Don't worry, you'll reach this level sooner or later. Even the four prodigies were shocked when they saw the 70% sword intent. Especially Zhou Jianying, who stared at Lin Xian with her beautiful eyes. The one who was most shocked was Lei Zhen. He originally thought that he could completely crush Lin Xian with his 70% thunder essence. In this way, not only could he avenge Shengguan Haohao, but he could also promote the Thunder Sect's reputation. However, to his surprise, Lin Xian actually possessed the same level of sword intent. So what if you have 70% sword intent? If you don't know how to use it, you're still trash. Lei Zhen shouted coldly and launched a terrifying attack. Moonbreak. Lin Xian, who had displayed 70% sword intent, was unusually calm. His body was filled with sword qi, which condensed into a huge crescent-shaped sword qi and rushed forward. This sword qi was extremely violent. Everywhere it passed, the void would shatter. Lei Zhen's attack instantly collapsed as if it was made of paper. What? How can it be so powerful? Lei Zhen was shocked. He originally thought that even if Lin Xian displayed 70% sword intent, it would at most be a draw. However, Lin Xian's sword intent was so powerful that it directly shattered his attack. Was this really 70% sword intent? Let's end this. Starburst. Lin Xian activated the dragon sword intent to the extreme. He became one with the sword and slashed out a sword light. Thunder collision. Lei Zhen gritted his teeth and formed the strongest defense in front of him. However, this sword was too amazing. It directly hit the weak part of the defense and quickly tore it apart. Then, the sword intent cracked and a shocking explosion occurred. There was an earth-shattering sound. Lei Zhen was surrounded by countless sword lights. Lin Xian withdrew the star sword and waited quietly. He was confident that this sword could definitely defeat Lei Zhen. As expected, when the sword light disappeared, Lei Zhen's battered figure appeared. The thunder armor on his body was completely shattered, and there were countless sword marks on it. One of them even cut open the skin on his abdomen and almost cut him in half. Compared to the physical injury, the most serious injury was the mental injury. As one of the 5 talents, he thought that defeating Lin Xian was just a piece of cake. However, he did not expect that Lin Xian's trump cards were all beyond his expectations. Especially the last 70% sword intent, he could not resist it. Now he realized that he had indeed underestimated this young man. The reason why he did not use his trump card at the beginning was probably because he wanted to preserve his strength and use his thunder to refine his body. Thinking of this, he felt bitter and even regretted challenging Lin Xian. You won. What? Lei Zhen admitted defeat. The disciples of the Thunder sect were all stunned, especially Shangguan Hao. His eyes were filled with horror. Ever since he started cultivating, he had made his senior brother Lei Zhen his lifelong goal. Now, his idol had been defeated, and the one who defeated his senior brother was a newcomer like him. Thinking of how he had provoked Lin Xian in the past, Shangguan Hao felt a lingering fear. If Lin Xian had used all his strength at that time, he would definitely have been killed in one strike. Is the world going to change? Finally, one of the 5 talents has fallen. The crowd went crazy. One had to know that the 4 talents and 5 talents were recognized as the strongest in everyone's hearts. They originally thought that no one could shake their position in this year's competition, and that the only change was the internal ranking. However, they did not expect Lin Xian to defeat Lei Zhen and successfully become one of the 5 talents. At this moment, the way everyone looked at Lin Xian had changed. Their eyes were filled with respect. If Lin Xian was said to be an extremely talented newcomer with limitless prospects in the past, now, he had proven with his strength that not only was he talented, but his combat strength was also strong. He could create a record now. Defeating Lei Zhen was the best proof. This guy really made it into the 5 talents. Iron Hand was shocked. Lin Xian had given him too many surprises, and they shocked him again and again. Before this, he thought that Lin Xian could only make it into the top 100, but now Lin Xian had become one of the 5 talents. Void Slash. On the other side, Han Fei unsheathed his saber, and a resplendent saber light streaked across the sky. Wherever the saber light passed, the silver moonlight was torn apart, flying to the sides like a veil. What a terrifying saber intent. It can even tear apart an illusion. Lin Xian was surprised. He could feel that Han Fei's saber intent was not weaker than his sword intent. The saber streaked across the sky and quickly slashed towards Yu Yan. Soon, the silver moonlight around Yu Yan was completely torn apart. Humph! He snorted coldly, and the illusory moon intent rose. Han Fei had rich combat strength and would not fight with Yu Yan at all. The other party was an illusion martial artist, so he had to end the battle quickly. Otherwise he would fall for it if he was not careful. Therefore, Han Fei did not hold back from the beginning. Streaks of resplendent saber light shattered the void and quickly slashed towards Yu Yan. Crack! Crack! The saber fell, and the hard ground split open, forming terrifying cracks. The cold saber intent was even more shocking, lingering in the void for a long time. Yu Yan's expression was cold. He quickly rushed towards Han Fei with the bright moon illusion. At the same time, he quickly waved his palms and struck out the falling moon palm. The sky was filled with palm shadows that carried ripples, scattering in all directions. These palm shadows looked beautiful, but they were filled with endless killing intent. Each of them carried a terrifying soul attack. If an ordinary mid-stage spirit transformation realm martial artist encountered them, their soul would probably be severely injured on the spot. Void-splitting cross-slash. Han Fei held the saber with both hands and quickly slashed out. Buzz! In the sky, a huge cross-shaped saber aura shone and rushed forward. This was one of Han Fei's ultimate skills. Previously, he had relied on this saber to defeat Bing Ling. The saber aura was dazzling like a cross of death, enveloping Yu Yan. Yu Yan's expression was solemn. He had to be careful when facing this powerful attack. The silver moon behind him rotated, and the moonlight in the sky rotated rapidly, forming a vortex that stirred up the spiritual energy in the surroundings. Suddenly, a slender hand reached out from the vortex and slapped towards the void. As soon as the slender hand appeared, the entire space immediately sank, and a huge pressure enveloped the surroundings. Everyone's faces turned pale, as if they were enveloped by 100,000 mountains. So terrifying, what move is this? Moon God descends. I didn't expect Yu Yan to even use this move. Someone exclaimed. Rumor has it that when the Mirage Moon Sex cultivation technique is cultivated to the extreme, one can summon the Moon God descends. I thought it was just a legend. I didn't expect it to be true. Moon God descends. Lin Xian frowned. Was there really a god in this world? His eyes flickered as he looked at the arena. He waved his slender hand and collided with the huge cross-shaped saber aura. Boom! A dazzling light erupted in the sky, forming a huge white energy ball that spread out in all directions. The terrifying attack was like the end of the world, making one's heart tremble. The white light retreated, and the two figures fought again. Divine Saber of Destruction. Han Fei's saber intent was astonishing, and he slashed out a terrifying saber light again. This saber almost covered more than half of the sky. The vast saber light surged in the air like a blood-colored river. Illusion Path Crescent Moon Break. Yu Yan rose into the air, and also launched his strongest attack. He fused with the silver moon behind him, releasing a hazy light. A palm, like a divine palm from outer space, pressed down. Waves of air rolled, saber aura crisscrossed, and the arena was drowned again. Crack! Boom! Countless black gravel splattered, piercing the void and flying in all directions. Some martial artists were caught off guard, and were sent flying by these stones while vomiting blood. Damn it, it's too terrifying. Even the gravel can hurt people. Everyone quickly retreated, feeling a lingering fear. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he stared at the arena. Chapter 477. Han Fei won. His saber intent happened to restrain Yu Yan's illusion, Sword Dao Goddess Zhou Jianying said. In the end, it's still a battle of intent. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame said coldly. If Yu Yan's illusory moon intent is strong enough, he can completely restrain him. The four geniuses spoke, and every word they said hit the nail on the head. When the storm dissipated, the figure in the arena appeared. Yu Yan's sleeve was cut off, and a long saber was placed horizontally above his head, emitting a terrifying saber intent. I admit defeat, Yu Yan said unwillingly. Thank you for letting me win. Han Fei retracted his saber and smiled indifferently. Everyone exclaimed, and the audience in the stands was in an uproar. Their cheers were like a tide, shaking the world. Yu Yan left the arena, but Han Fei didn't move. He was still standing in the arena, because this time, it was his turn to challenge. Holding the saber tightly, his eyes burst out with astonishing fighting spirit. Divine Saber Sex Han Fei challenges Zhou Jianying. Han Fei's voice was sonorous and powerful, and every word caused the void to tremble. Everyone was excited again. Han Fei was going to challenge the four geniuses. Not only that, he was going to challenge the second-ranked Sword Dao Goddess. Han Fei is the leader of the 5 heroes. He does have the strength to challenge the 4 heroes. Yes, his saber intent has reached 70%. He might have the strength to fight. Lin Xian was also excited. Han Fei's saber intent was similar to his. This battle might allow him to figure out Zhou Jianying's strength. Your saber intent is not bad. I will use the same level of sword intent to fight you. Zhou Jianying stepped on the ground like a fairy. She carried an azure sword on her back that was like a shining star. It was dreamy and illusory. However, she didn't draw her sword. Instead, she used her finger to replace the sword and pointed diagonally. What? Zhou Jianying wants to fight barehanded? Isn't she underestimating Han Fei? What do you know? I saw her attack 10 years ago. It was too stunning. It was like a divine rainbow descending into the world. No one could stop it. The more everyone talked, the more shocked they became. In the arena, Han Fei's expression was solemn. He wasn't dissatisfied with Zhou Jianying's barehanded battle. The other party was already lucky to be able to fight with him. Take my saber space-splitting cross-slash. As soon as he came, Han Fei used his ultimate skill. A huge cross-saber chi, quickly slashed forward. Break! Zhou Jianying spat out a green lotus from her mouth and waved her jade-like fingers. A ripple-like sword chi slashed down. The sword chi looked weak, like a fleeting shadow, but when it came into contact with the huge cross-shaped sword chi, it was immediately sliced in half. What a sharp sword intent! Lin Xian was shocked. As a swordsman, he could naturally feel the terror of this sword. Not only that, but he also found that Zhou Jianying's use of sword intent was very delicate, which was far beyond his. For example, the sword strike just now contained a terrifying sword intent that was hidden very deeply. However, at the moment of collision, an extremely powerful attack power erupted and destroyed everything. The utilization of this kind of sword intent surpassed the vast majority of people. I'm afraid Zhou Jianying didn't even use half of her strength. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He realized that the four prodigies were far more terrifying than he had imagined. However, he was not vexed. In terms of the use of sword intent, he was stronger than Zhou Jianying. What he lacked now was the maturity of his sword intent. I can only rely on the divine sword visualization painting. These days, he had been comprehending the divine sword visualization painting, and his sword intent had reached the peak of 70%. He was only a little bit away from breaking through to 80%. However, he welcomed another piece of good news. After continuing to absorb the black dragon flames, he finally reached the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm. So far, his strength had substantially improved. If he fought with Lei Jin again, he would probably only need 3 moves to defeat him. This was the gap between realms. The current Lin Xian was several times stronger than before. Now he should be able to challenge the 4 prodigies. Lin Xian thought to himself. With his strength and trump cards, he was already able to compete with the 4 prodigies. Moreover, he also had his greatest trump card, the Sword of Devouring. With it, Lin Xian even dared to challenge spirit-detecting realm martial artists. In a good mood, he looked at the arena. In the arena, Han Fei's first attack failed, and he slashed out again. Divine Saber of Destruction. The blood-red saber aura filled the entire sky like a blood-red river, hanging across the 9 heavens. Looking at this attack, Zhou Jianying's eyes lit up. She raised one hand and slashed up. A ray of sword light flew into the sky like a graceful swan. It was like a 5-colored divine pillar connecting heaven and earth. This attack directly hit the weakest part of the blood-red saber aura. With a roar, the blood-red saber aura shattered like a glass plate, scattering across the sky. Han Fei was very strong, but Zhou Jianying was stronger. Every attack of hers carried a terrifying sword intent. Although her sword intent was also 70%, it was much more powerful than Han Fei's saber intent. After 2 defeats, the saber aura in Han Fei's eyes became even brighter. He looked up to the sky and roared. His whole body was like a divine saber that was unsheathed, extremely sharp. Take my strongest attack, saber breaking the sky. The huge saber aura pierced through the sky, and the terrifying aura made the entire arena tremble. In the sky, the clouds were instantly destroyed. Endless light condensed, and then the long saber fell down. So terrifying. Retreat. The surrounding crowd was horrified and retreated crazily. Lin Xian's body flashed, and he also rushed back. At the same time, he was also slightly surprised. The power of this attack was very close to the first sword of the Gale Lightning Sword technique. The arena trembled, and a terrifying crack appeared. The saber aura shrouded Zhou Jianying. At this moment, everyone was looking at the arena. He was hit head-on. Can Han Fei win? Such a terrifying attack. Even if she's an elite, she'll probably be injured, right? Everyone was discussing and feeling bewildered. However, at this moment, a stunning sword aura bloomed from the arena, piercing through the saber aura, and rushing in all directions. This sword aura was so dazzling that the saber aura in the sky lost its luster. The sword aura slashed down and the mighty saber aura was mercilessly torn apart. Han Fei's face turned pale. His body stiffened, and he couldn't help but take 3 steps back. A look of horror appeared in his eyes. When the saber aura disappeared, Zhou Jianying's beautiful figure appeared. She was dressed in green, and pointed her sword at the sky. Although she was a girl, she had an indescribable sharpness. It was as if everything in front of her had become fragile. This was the demeanor of a Sword Dao heavenly maiden. After 3 attacks, Han Fei had no chance of winning at all. He smiled bitterly and admitted defeat. The crowd was in an uproar and kept shouting. Zhou Jianying's strength was crazy. They would probably never forget the last sword attack for the rest of their lives. Lin Xian was also amazed. She was indeed a genius, especially her attainments in the Sword Dao, which could be said to be terrifying. Even the last sword strike had given him some enlightenment. Immediately, he fell into the divine sword visualization painting and quickly comprehended it. Whoosh! The snow-white monkey rushed out and stood on his shoulder, covering its mouth and yawning. Lin Xian was comprehending at this time, so the safety task was naturally left to it. The little monkey blinked its black gem-like eyes and looked around curiously. Chapter 478. The appearance of the little white monkey shocked them. However, in the next moment they looked puzzled. Why did I feel so scared just now? What kind of monkey is this? Why do I feel like it's that legendary species? Are you talking about that? Impossible. How can that thing exist? The venerable ones were bewildered. They tried to confirm it, but could not find the same feeling they had before. In desperation, they could only give up temporarily. The competition continued. Lin Xian was still comprehending the divine sword visualization diagram and did not pay attention to the others. However, the others were all excited, because the next contestants were all sky prides. In the arena, Yin Shan carried a huge bandage on his back and looked around with a sinister smile. Then his gaze stopped on Lin Xian. Everyone was stunned. Was Yin Shan going to challenge Lin Xian too? No way! How could the 4 great sky prides challenge someone with a lower ranking? At this moment, Yin Shan also sent a voice transmission. What's going on? You want me to challenge that brat? A mysterious voice transmission came from the bandage on his back. That brat is a little strange. I can feel the aura of the great dragon sword on him. Great dragon sword? Are you sure? Yin Shan was shocked. Try it. With your strength, you should be able to make him use all his strength easily. Hearing this, Yin Shan sneered. He turned his head slightly and stared at Lin Xian with a sinister gaze. I want to challenge him. The crowd exclaimed. Yin Shan was really going to challenge Lin Xian. This was too crazy. One had to know that the 4 great sky prides were completely ahead of everyone else. Yin Shan wanted to challenge Lin Xian, which was undoubtedly bullying. At this moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian. They wanted to know how Lin Xian would answer. However, Lin Xian stood in place like a statue, not reacting at all to what was happening outside. However, the little white monkey looked at Yin Shan and gestured, finally revealing a look of disdain. The surrounding martial artists were stunned. A monkey dared to look down on Yin Shan. Many of them felt their brains crash. Zhao Shui and the others were worried, afraid that Lin Xian would get hot-headed and rush onto the stage. However, they still heaved a sigh of relief in the end, because Lin Xian did not respond. If you don't respond within the time limit, you'll be deemed to have admitted defeat, the referee said in a low voice. Soon after, Yin Shan obtained a strand of true dragon qi from Lin Xian's body. Useless guy. Yin Shan snorted coldly and ignored Lin Xian. Looks like this Lin Xian isn't stupid. I thought he would still rush forward. Are you kidding me? That's Mount Yin we're talking about. Who would dare go up there? But there seems to be something wrong with Lin Xian. What's wrong? He must be trying to play dumb to avoid the competition. Although everyone knew that Lin Xian wouldn't accept the challenge, they were still disappointed by his silence. It seemed that although Lin Xian was strong, he still couldn't compare to the 4 great prodigies. Even the few supremacies in the ancient city side, they felt that Lin Xian lacked sharpness. Then, Yin Shan challenged Crown Prince Heavenly Flame, who was in front of him. The two of them exchanged blows, creating a terrifying scene. The 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram appeared behind Crown Prince Heavenly Flame, as if it could burn everything. That scorching aura made everyone's heart tremble. On the other side, Yin Shan summoned 3 ferocious puppets. Each of them had the strength of a mid-stage spirit transformation realm cultivator. The three puppets worked together to fight a spirit-detecting realm martial artist. As the two of them exchanged blows, each of their attacks could tear apart a normal spirit transformation realm martial artist. At the 103rd move, the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram released endless flames that suppressed the entire stage. Yin Shan's 3 puppets were entangled by the flaming dragon and couldn't move at all. His hand reached for the bandage on his back, but he gave up after thinking about it. In the end, Crown Prince Heavenly Flame won. The crowd was in an uproar and took a long time to calm down. At this time, Lin Xian also woke up from the Divine Sword visualization diagram. The sword light in his eyes was even sharper, as if it could cut through the void. After the epiphany just now, he finally broke through and reached 80% sword intent. However, before he could rejoice, his body froze. He could still feel the aura of the great dragon sword, but now he couldn't feel anything. After carefully sensing with his soul power, Lin Xian found that the true dragon qi in his body had decreased by a lot. What's going on? He was stunned. As far as he knew, the true dragon qi couldn't be stolen, let alone lost for no reason. Wuji, the snow-white little monkey gestured and restored the scene just now. Suddenly, Lin Xian's face darkened. He was very surprised that Yin Shan had challenged him. One had to know that he didn't have much interaction with Yin Shan. And Yin Shan was one of the 4 great prodigies. It was even more impossible for him to challenge him for no reason, unless there was something he didn't know. However, what made him even more angry was that he was judged to have failed, because he didn't respond for a long time. Thus he lost the true dragon qi. This guy has gone too far. Lin Xian glared at Yin Shan with rage in his eyes. No matter who it was, anyone who dared to steal his true dragon qi was an enemy. The 4 great prodigies? Lin Xian sneered. It's time for a change. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Yin Shan turned around and smiled disdainfully. In his eyes, Lin Xian was like an ant that couldn't arouse his interest at all. If it weren't for the existence behind him challenging him, he wouldn't have bothered with Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian actually dared to look at him like that, which made him very unhappy. You don't know what's good for you. Yin Shan retracted his gaze. He had already decided that after the Azure Dragon Association was over, he would find a chance to make Lin Xian his puppet. Although Lin Xian didn't know Yin Shan's plan, he wouldn't let him go. He would make Yin Shan spit out the true dragon qi that he had stolen. If it was in the past, Lin Xian wouldn't have been able to do it. But now, not only had he entered the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm, his sword intent had also reached 80%. It could be said that his strength had increased by several times. If he were to face Lei Jin now, he could almost kill him with one strike. One had to know that it wasn't easy to increase one's sword intent, and with every increase in level, one's strength would increase rapidly. Lin Xian, who had comprehended 70% sword intent, and Lin Xian, who had comprehended 80% sword intent, were 2 completely different people. He calmed down and continued to watch the competition. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame challenged Infinite Tyrant. Both of them were domineering and violent. Just the aura they released was unbearable for the audience. You're not my match. That was clear 10 years ago. Infinite Tyrant was very domineering. He didn't put Crown Prince Heavenly Flame in his eyes at all. That was 10 years ago. That might not be the case now. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame said proudly. Now that my 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram has reached greater mastery, I'll definitely be able to suppress you this time. Suppress me? Infinite Tyrant was slightly stunned. Then he looked up to the sky and laughed. His body released an aura that looked down on the world. Then come at me. He didn't say much. Instead, he waved his fists and punched forward. Chapter 479. That punch was too terrifying. It could definitely kill anyone below the 4 great prodigies. Fire Dragon Fist. Prince Heavenly Flame wasn't afraid at all. A fire dragon behind him coiled around his right arm, forming a fire dragon armor. The fire attribute spiritual energy roared and surged forward. The 2 fists collided, causing the entire space to tremble. Even the spirit-detecting realm judge's pupils shrank as he looked at the arena with a solemn expression. Boom! Violent energy spread out and quickly dissipated. Too weak. Is this all you've got? Infinite Tyrant had one hand behind his back as he looked arrogant. 8 Desolation Fire Dragons suppress. The fire dragon diagram behind Prince Heavenly Flame shone brightly as flames soared into the sky. The entire sky was dyed red. The space distorted as if it was about to melt. 8 fire dragons roared as they circled around to suppress Infinite Tyrant. Good timing. Infinite Tyrant roared. His robe fluttered in the black wind as he looked down on the world like an overlord. Domineering fist of heavens and earth. He was like a king as he quickly punched out. A tyrannical aura surged out and enveloped the entire area. The surrounding martial artists were terrified. Their bodies trembled as they almost knelt on the ground. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He could sense that those 2 martial arts were Earth-grade martial arts. Their power wasn't any weaker than his Gale Lightning Sword art. However, Infinite Tyrant's aura was too powerful. His disregard for everything made his domineering fist of heavens and earth even more violent. Boom! Boom boom! The fire dragons and fists collided. The space was torn apart, and a terrifying black crack appeared. However, the crack quickly disappeared. Even so, the crowd was still stunned. They would never forget that scene for the rest of their lives. On the ancient city, the 5 sovereigns were even more shocked. Their attacks weren't any weaker than a spirit-detecting realm martial artist. In fact, they were even stronger than an average spirit-detecting realm martial artist. At least, an average spirit-detecting realm martial artist wouldn't be able to create a crack in space. Their strength has increased by a few times over the past 10 years. Sovereign Green Lotus exclaimed. I'm afraid Infinite Tyrant is still better. Sovereign Sword exclaimed. Jin Wudao isn't bad either. In the past, he would definitely be the number 1 of the younger generation. Indeed, the current 4 great geniuses would have been able to take first place in the previous Azure Dragon gatherings. However, the 4 of them were gathered together. It had to be said that this was a flourishing age. Geniuses emerged in large numbers, suppressing several generations. Look, the results are out, a paragon cried out. Everyone looked over and saw the 8 Baron Fire Dragon and the Berserk Fist colliding. The 2 were in a stalemate. However, in the end, it was still the hegemonic fist of heavens and earth that won, tearing the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon portrait apart. Prince Heavenly Flame groaned and took a few steps back. Was it over? Everyone was astonished. As expected, it was still Infinite Tyrant who was superior. However, the flames on the Crown Prince's body surged, making him look like a flaming god of war. This is the final move, 8 Desolation Fire Dragon, burn heaven and earth. Prince Heavenly Flame bellowed. The 8 fire dragons behind him rose into the sky and intertwined, forming an even larger fire dragon. Suddenly, the entire sky was filled with fiery red dragon bodies. The sea of fire in the sky spread and attacked into the distance. Retreat! The spirit-detecting realm referee furrowed his brows and shouted to the surrounding martial artists. What? Everyone was stunned and quickly retreated. The next moment, the huge dragon head spat out mountain-sized red dragon flames that covered the entire arena. The aura was too terrifying. Just a trace of it was enough to kill any spirit transformation realm martial artist. In an instant, Infinite Tyrant and the super arena were enveloped. The spirit-detecting realm referee rose into the sky. Chi-chi. The fiery red dragon flames were terrifying. They melted the entire arena, and the heat wave was still spreading rapidly. Everything that came into contact with it was reduced to ashes. Everyone was terrified. Fortunately, the referee reminded them. Otherwise, they would have turned into a pile of ashes. Lunatic, he's really a lunatic. Will Infinite Tyrant be burned to death if he's hit head-on? Many people were worried. There was no way around it. The flames were too terrifying. Even a spirit-detecting realm martial artist would be finished. The sea of fire continued, and more than half of the plaza was about to collapse. At this moment, Venerable Green Lotus waved his sleeve in the ancient city. An inexplicable green chi flow fell into the sea of fire, forming a green lotus. The green lotus spun and absorbed the surrounding flames. At this moment, a terrifying fluctuation came from the arena again. A hole appeared in the sea of fire, Infinite Tyrant's body was covered in flowing light, and a golden spear appeared in his hand. Overlord Spear. The spear stabbed out, and the world lost its color. The fiery dragon in the sky was pierced, and it let out a wail before quickly dissipating. Infinite Tyrant withdrew his spear, and looked at the heavenly flame crown prince. He spun his spear again. The spear light tore through the sky. The heavenly flame crown prince tried his best to resist. He merged with the 8 desolation flaming dragon diagram behind him, and attacked the spear light. There was a shocking explosion, and the heavenly flame crown prince was sent flying. The flaming dragon diagram on his body shattered, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He forced himself to circulate his chi and prepared to fight again, but he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. You can't do it. Infinite Tyrant stood with his spear and looked around. Then, he looked at Zhou Jianying and Yin Shan and sighed. Is there no one in the entire South Heaven region who can match me? He was lonely. He stood at the peak, but no one could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. The heavenly flame crown prince's face turned ugly. He originally thought that he could compete with Infinite Tyrant, but he did not expect to be defeated by his spear. What a domineering spear technique! Lin Xian exclaimed from below. That shot just now made his hair stand on end. He compared himself to the heavenly flame crown prince, and realized that even he could not shatter that spear. However, he would not be as pathetic as the heavenly flame crown prince. That was because he had the sword of devouring. As long as he wanted to, he could devour that spear. I really hope to fight with him. Lin Xian was filled with fighting spirit. Originally, he only wanted to compete with Zhou Jianying, but now it seemed that he had to add Infinite Tyrant to his list of opponents. Such a martial artist was worthy of his full strength. After absorbing the heavenly flame crown prince's true dragon energy, Infinite Tyrant's true dragon energy reached 84 feet. That true dragon energy suppressed the surroundings. Yin Shan looked at the true dragon energy, with a trace of greed in his eyes. Then he touched the bandages on his back. Infinite Tyrant, I'll give you a big gift when the time comes. In front of him, the sea of fire disappeared and the arena was revealed. More than half of the black gold arena was burned, and a terrifying pit appeared. The surroundings were charred black, and the bottom could not be seen. At that moment, the true dragon energy under the ground surged, and emitted a 5-colored light that shrouded the deep pit. Soon, the ground returned to normal, and the black gold arena was intact. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect the true dragon energy to have such an effect. If he absorbed it into his body, could it heal his wounds? Chapter 480. This idea was very risky, because before the Azure Dragon Society ended, these contestants could not use true dragon chi. But Lin Xian seemed to be absorbing its power, which could be said to be very heaven-defying. Of course, he would not treat his life as a joke. So he only absorbed a little bit. In the next moment, a trace of joy appeared on his face. I can actually absorb it. Although the process was very slow, Lin Xian could clearly feel a mysterious power entering his body from the true dragon chi. I wonder what effect it will have if I absorb more. Thinking of this, Lin Xian began to absorb with all his might. At this moment, Zhou Jianying walked up the stage. Dressed in green and surrounded by sword chi, she was like a sword god reborn, sharp to the extreme. As the second-rank prodigy, her target was very clear, and that was infinite dominance. However, her battle with infinite dominance was very simple, with only one move. But this move was better than all the previous ones. A sword light, stunning the 9 heavens, quickly slashed towards infinite dominance. Countless fine spatial cracks appeared in the place where it passed. Infinite dominance was still incomparably domineering. The golden spear in his hand, piercing out like a scorching sun. After one move, a millstone-sized black hole appeared in the void and quickly merged. The stage beneath their feet was torn apart again. Infinite dominance stood with his spear, looking around disdainfully. Zhou Jianying's face was a little pale, especially her right hand, which was trembling. As expected of the Overlord bloodline, only you can use the hegemonic chi technique to this extent. Zhou Jianying did not continue to attack. The sword just now had already determined the outcome, and it would be futile to continue fighting. Moreover, now is not the time for the final battle. In the entire Tianan region, only you can arouse my interest. Infinite Dominance sighed. In the end, only Infinite Dominance was left. However, he did not challenge anyone. As the top prodigy, he did not put anyone in his eyes. After the first round of challenges, the 4 prodigies' rankings did not change. But there was one more newcomer among the 5 prodigies. Lin Xian replaced Lei Zhen's ranking and was ranked 7th. He was the highest ranking among the newcomers. Soon the second round of challenges began. Lin Xian spared a sliver of his soul to observe the battle. Zhao Shui, Leng Yidao, Dongfang Xiong, and the others fought harder and harder, and they all made it into the top 30. Everyone was shocked. Although these people were also dark horses, they didn't expect that they would be able to defeat strong opponents consecutively and advance to the next round. Lei Zhen went crazy and did his best to defeat Xiao Yaosheng and enter the top 5 again. He looked at Lin Xian with hatred, but he didn't dare to challenge him again. The current him was no longer a match for Lin Xian. The ice spirit entered the arena. She looked at Lin Xian curiously, preparing to give it a try. In the end, Lin Xian stepped onto the stage and sent him flying with 3 strikes. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian's strength had increased again. One had to know that last time, he had fought with Lei Zhen for a long time. Bing Ling's strength was about the same as Lei Zhen's, but this time, she was sent flying by 3 sword strikes. This was simply too shocking. Lei Zhen felt a lingering fear in his heart. His back was drenched in sweat. Fortunately, he didn't challenge Lin Xian again. Otherwise, he would have been the one sent flying. After defeating the ice spirit, Lin Xian's true dragon energy had become stronger, and he had returned to his original height of 6 feet. However, he wasn't happy. If it wasn't for Yan Shan, his true dragon energy would have been even more. In the next moment, his gaze was sharp as he looked into the distance. Yan Shan, get up here and die. His voice was so loud that it made the void tremble. Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian actually wanted to challenge Yan Shan. Moreover, he used such an arrogant tone. Lin Xian must be crazy. He's courting death. Who knows? Could it be because of Yan Shan's challenge? No way. Didn't he not dare to accept the challenge last time? Everyone was puzzled. They all thought that Lin Xian was crazy. Yan Shan's face was so gloomy that it was terrifying. As one of the top 4 prodigies, even Infinite Tyrant didn't dare to speak to him like this. Now, a worm that he regarded as an ant dared to speak so arrogantly. He couldn't stand it. Lowly worm, I'll refine you into a half-human puppet and let you suffer the punishment of hell for eternity. Yan Shan's body was filled with killing intent, as if he was the king of hell. At that moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian. Interesting. I thought he was a coward. I didn't expect him to have such a domineering side. Infinite Tyrant looked at Lin Xian with a hint of interest. Zhou Jinying pursed her lips. She could feel the powerful sword intent behind Lin Xian's confidence. That sword intent was even more powerful than before. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame frowned. He didn't have a good impression of Lin Xian's words. After all, the top 4 prodigies couldn't be humiliated. On the ancient city, Venerable Lord Sword also narrowed his eyes. Little guy interesting. Whoosh. Yan Shan came to the arena. He waved his hand and summoned 8 puppets. 2 of them were at the mid-stage of the spirit transformation realm, while the other 6 were at the early stage of the spirit transformation realm. That was a terrifying lineup. Other than the top prodigies, no one could stop them. Zhao Shui's palms were sweating. Brat, don't try to be brave. Yidao Leng and Dongfang Xiong were also nervous. After all, their opponents were the top 4 prodigies. It was impossible for them not to be nervous. Reptile, you will pay for your ignorance. Yan Shan controlled the 8 puppets and said with a hideous smile. I don't have any good swordsman puppets. After I make you, my collection will be even more perfect. Hearing that, everyone felt a chill down their spines. The 8 puppets on the arena were all made of living people. The Iron Puppet sect was really perverted. Although they were cursing, they were still worried for Lin Xian. How can he fight with so many puppets? He's still too young and impulsive. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. Cut the crap. Show me what you've got. Don't think you can bully others just because you're a prodigy. Today, I'll let you know the consequences of bullying me. If you're courting death. Yin Shan snorted and controlled the 8 puppets to charge forward. His control was exquisite and contained the principles of array formations. It made the already powerful lineup even more powerful. In an instant, Lin Xian was surrounded by 8 puppets. Destroy! Lin Xian's voice was cold. He swung the absolute star sword in his hand, and a dazzling sword light shone. What followed was a terrifying sword intent. It was cold, sharp, and so powerful that it made people despair. The entire arena was shrouded by this shocking sword intent. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and activated their defensive armor to resist. It couldn't be helped. This sword intent was too sharp. Even though they were far away, they still felt pain in their bodies, as if they were pierced by thousands of swords. The most shocked person was Zhou Jianying. As a swordsman, she could clearly feel this sword intent. 80% sword intent. She exclaimed. What, 80% sword intent? Everyone was shocked. When did Lin Xian's sword intent become so powerful? However, before they could think about it, the dazzling sword light suddenly fell. The void trembled and shattered like a mirror. Countless black cracks spread out. It was terrifying. Chapter 481. Lin Xian used 80% sword intent right from the start, and a sharp sword qi instantly enveloped the entire arena. An earth-shattering sound rang out as the entire arena split apart with a loud bang. Everyone was shocked that Lin Xian had split the arena in half. Where's Yin Shan? Everyone looked at the arena. On the arena, 8 puppets were lying on the ground. Their bodies had all been cut in half, and there was even a trace of terrifying sword intent lingering around them. Yin Shan wasn't injured, but his face was very ugly. He didn't expect that the insect he had always regarded as an ant would show such strength. This kind of sword intent wasn't much weaker than Zhou Jianying's. What a terrifying sword intent. Is another heavenly talent going to appear? Han Fei was shocked. The other 3 geniuses were surprised. Lin Xian's strength was beyond their expectations. Zhou Jianying in particular stared at Lin Xian with her beautiful eyes. Damn you, you've pissed me off. Yin Shan's voice was murderous. He opened the puppet bag and summoned 3 more black puppets. These are late-stage puppets of the spirit transformation realm. It seemed that Yin Shan was really angry. Yin Shan had used these puppets in his battle with the Prince of Heavenly Flame. Even the blazing flames didn't burn them. Whoosh! Yin Shan controlled the 3 puppets and rushed toward Lin Xian together with his real body. This time, he must take down Lin Xian. Clang! 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 The 3 puppets were as fast as ghosts, constantly changing their positions around Lin Xian. They attacked fiercely, all aimed at Lin Xian's vital points. Wind Thunder Sword Wave. Lin Xian slashed out with his long sword, and sword waves spread out. The 8th level sword intent gushed out, stunning everyone. The 3 black puppets were all hit by the sword waves and were knocked back. None of them could get close to Lin Xian. Yin Shan's 5 fingers danced, and his spiritual power connected to the 3 puppets. Immediately, the 3 puppets attacked again. Humph! Wind Slayer. Lin Xian's long sword slashed down horizontally, and the eerie sword qi disappeared, completely blending into the wind. Qi, flying out like a gust of wind, those silk-like spiritual power, were all cut off. In an instant, the 3 puppets stopped moving. What? The puppet technique has been broken? No way. Is Yin Shan going to lose? Everyone was alarmed and started discussing spiritedly. Lin Xian didn't slow down at all as he charged towards Yin Shan. This time, he used the moon-shattering sword qi. The crescent sword qi was aimed at Yin Shan's vitals. Yin Shan abruptly raised his head with a sneer in his eyes. Then he flipped his palm and took out 2 black wooden boards. He gently knocked on them. Bang! Bang! A deep voice sounded, and a black figure instantly appeared in front of him. Bang! That figure withstood the crescent sword qi. Ha! What? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and frowned. It was the black puppet that had blocked his sword qi. At this moment, the black puppet's arm had split open. The black metal formed a shield and blocked the sword qi. What a tough body. Lin Xian exclaimed. It wasn't afraid of his sword qi. In the next moment he sensed 2 attacks coming from behind him. With a tap of his foot, he retreated like a ghost. Puff! 2 cold lights appeared in the air, emitting a heart-trembling light. The air fluctuated and 2 more black puppets appeared. Their palms split open, revealing 2 pitch-black daggers covered in purple liquid. It was obvious that they were highly poisonous. Yan Shan stood in the middle of the field, hitting the black wooden boards. The 3 puppets seemed to have received some kind of command and moved quickly. It seemed that the silk-like spiritual power wasn't the only way to control the puppets. It seemed that he had to kill the 3 puppets. Lin Xian's aura became fierce. He pointed his sword lightly, and the green sword qi was like smoke, faintly discernible. A terrifying sword qi was contained within. Qi. The sword light flashed as fast as lightning. Lin Xian's sword pierced the black puppet's joint. Sword qi gushed out, as he directly destroyed the key part. Brat, how dare you! Yan Shan was finally enraged. He roared and quickly moved forward. However, Lin Xian's attack succeeded, and he floated away. Damn it! Yan Shan's face darkened. He didn't expect Lin Xian's sword technique to be so terrifying that he could accurately find the puppet's weakness. One had to know that even Prince Tianhua couldn't find these weaknesses. This was the terror of a swordsman. He could find the weakness and kill it in one strike. Seeing that one of the puppets couldn't be used, Yan Shan raised his guard. However, not long after, the remaining 2 puppets were also destroyed by Lin Xian. Yan Shan didn't have time to be angry because the terrifying sword qi was already rushing toward him. Boom! He waved his palms and deflected the sword qi. Then, he stared coldly at Lin Xian. Everyone only knew that his puppets were powerful, but they neglected his own strength. However, as one of the 4 prodigies, how could his combat strength be weak? Even without the puppets, he could still become a prodigy. Brat, don't waste your energy. Prodigies have no weaknesses. Yan Shan said coldly. No weaknesses? Lin Xian laughed. You overestimate yourself. In my opinion, your body is full of weaknesses. You're courting death. Yan Shan was furious. No one dared to talk to him like that. Buzz! The absolute star sword pierced out, and the sword qi flickered. The sword was too fast. Yan Shan didn't even have time to react before the tip of the sword was already in front of him. So fast. Below the stage, Xie Yijian was shocked. Lin Xian's sword exceeded his speed concept. Yan Shan's forehead was covered in sweat. The terrifying sword qi made his hair stand. Damn it! He retreated, but the sword qi was still close to him, and was getting closer. Helpless, he could only pull the white bandage in front of him. Ding! 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 The white bandage was like a wall blocking the sword. Lin Xian withdrew his sword, and retreated to a safe distance. For some reason, he felt uneasy facing the white bandage. The others were also stunned. Yan Shan had been carrying the white bandage, and no one knew what was inside. However, he didn't use it in his battle with Prince Heavenly Flame. He didn't expect that he would have to use it in advance against Lin Xian. Brat! You can die in peace now that you forced me to use my ultimate move. Yan Shan said hatefully. Lin Xian's killing moves had almost injured him a few times. He was both shocked and angry. He grabbed the white bandage and tore it off. Suddenly, the thick bandage fell off, revealing the thing inside. A figure appeared, and stood quietly in the arena. It was a man in black with a demonic face and his eyes closed. His appearance made the entire space become oppressive. What is that? Everyone's heart trembled. The other 3 prodigies also felt uneasy. On the ancient city, the 5 supremacies frowned deeply. Among them, Sword Supremacy said slowly. I seem to have seen this face before, but I can't remember it. I have the same feeling, Green Lotus Supremacy said. It was a bad feeling, making the 5 of them feel uneasy. Chapter 482. When Lin Xian saw the figure, he was stunned. He almost cried out in surprise. He had seen that demonic face before. It was in the space of the great dragon Sword Soul. Lin Xian would never forget that there was a black-robed youth not far from the great dragon Sword Soul. He looked very demonic. However, he did not expect to see that person here. Who is this guy? Why is he on Yin Shan? And why is he bandaged? Is he a puppet? What's the relationship between Yin Shan and the Great Dragon Sword? Who is the black-robed man in the Great Dragon Sword Soul? In an instant, countless thoughts flashed through Lin Xian's mind. Buzz! Suddenly, the demonic man opened his eyes and stared at Lin Xian. A sinister smile appeared on his pale face. Hee. I can sense the Great Dragon Sword's aura. The demonic man said in a low voice. Sir, please make your move. At this moment, Yin Shan became very respectful. He bowed slightly and used his blood to draw a strange pattern on the demonic man's back. Blood splattered, and the blood-red pattern became redder. In the end, it looked like a bloody sun, blinding everyone's eyes. The spiritual energy in the sky gathered, forming a huge spiritual energy vortex. It was like a funnel that quickly entered the blood-red pattern. Then, the demonic man's body trembled slightly, as if he had eaten his fill. His body gradually released vitality. Buzz! Buzz! The demonic man moved his limbs, and with every movement, the air rumbled. An unusually oppressive aura surged out, vast and mighty between heaven and earth. Everyone's bodies tensed up, and they could not breathe freely. However, this was just the demonic man's normal movements. He did not deliberately release his aura. Even so, everyone could not take it anymore. The blood-red light dissipated, and the demonic man's smile deepened. Beside him, a small blood-red pattern appeared on Yin Shan's forehead. The shape was exactly the same as the one on the demonic man's back. Lin Xian frowned, and the uneasiness in his heart grew. Little Xian, he shouldn't be the person you saw. Wine Lord transmitted his voice. Don't be fooled by him. He's no match for you. Okay. Lin Xian nodded. Then, the star sword stabbed out, and the great dragon sword will turned into a shocking sword chi. 80% sword intent Wind Emperor's sword. Yin Shan's pupil shrank. If he were to face this attack alone, he would not be able to block it. Fortunately, there was a demonic man now. As expected, when facing the Wind Emperor's sword, the bewitching man took the lead to fly over. His black robe fluttered like dancing black flames. His finger was like a heavenly pillar, blocking the sword light. Boom! The two collided. The sword light shattered, and so did the heavenly pillar-like finger. He blocked it. Everyone was surprised. There was actually someone who could block Lin Xian's 80% sword intent. This was too inconceivable. Lin Xian was surprised. His opponent's attack seemed ordinary, but it was extremely sharp. That situation was actually somewhat similar to his great dragon sword intent. Who is this guy? His eyes narrowed slightly as he assumed a strange posture. He had comprehended this move from the divine sword visualization picture. Although he had not tested it yet, he was confident. Heavenly Dance of the Green Dragon. A sword light streaked across like a green dragon splitting the sky, grabbing at the bewitching man. This move made the bewitching man's expression change. He snorted coldly, his sleeves fluttered, and a ball of white flame appeared on his fingertip. When the flame appeared, the entire void distorted, as if it could not withstand the heat. In the distance, Crown Prince Heavenly Flame looked at the white flame, and his expression changed. As a fire-based martial artist, he could naturally feel the terror of the flame. Even Supremacy Scarlet Flame's expression changed. On the opposite side, Lin Xian swung his sword, and he was also shocked. However, the black dragon flame in his body quickly jumped and confronted the black flame outside. This could it be? Lin Xian did not think too much as the sword light had already collided with the black flame. At this moment he stabbed out again. Heavenly Meteor. This sword was aimed at Yin Shan. Swoosh. A gorgeous sword light lit up, illuminating the entire arena. Yin Shan was shocked and quickly retreated. Not far away, the bewitching man flicked out a wisp of white flame. Feeling the bewitching man's help, Yin Shan smiled calmly. He knew that as long as the bewitching man helped, Lin Xian would not be able to hurt him. Thinking of this, he slowed down a little. Buzz! A wisp of white flame expanded in the air and formed a white fireball. It crashed into Lin Xian and enveloped him. He hit him. Everyone was shocked. Those flames would probably kill anyone below the spirit detecting realm. Although Lin Xian was hit by the black flame, He was still flying quickly. You overestimate yourself. Yin Shan sneered. He stretched out his palm and formed a huge palm that enveloped Lin Xian. With this palm, he wanted to turn Lin Xian into ashes. Puff! Ah! At this moment a scream was heard. Yin Shan was sent flying, blood splattering into the sky. What? Yin Shan is injured? What happened? Everyone was shocked. Not only him, but even the three prodigies frowned. This result was also out of their expectations. This is impossible. He can't block the white flame. Prince Heavenly Flame was puzzled. This Lin Xian has many secrets. Infinite Tyrant was very interested. On the arena, Yin Shan stood up with difficulty. His palm was pierced, and there was a hole in half of his body. Moreover, what made him even angrier was that the sword intent that remained in the wound seemed to be inextinguishable and continued to destroy his body. Brat, you're courting death. The bewitching man spoke for the first time. His voice was very low, as if he had not spoken for a long time. He can speak. Isn't he a puppet? Many people were stunned. They had never seen a puppet that could speak. However, to say that the bewitching man was a human did not seem to be. There was a dense death aura on his body. It was very strange. The bewitching man was very angry. Lin Xian dared to injure Yin Shan in front of him. What was more despicable was that his white flame did not have any effect on him. One had to know that his white flame was very terrifying. Even a spirit-detecting realm martial artist would be burned to ashes after coming into contact with it. However, Lin Xian was unharmed. Stop bragging. Your flame may be powerful, but it's useless against me. Lin Xian sneered. When he was enveloped by the white flame, the black dragon flame in his body quickly surged out to resist the white flame. Therefore, his opponent's white flame could not hurt him at all. Nether flame descend. A trace of anger appeared on the bewitching man's face. Countless pale flames appeared around him, as if they were the flames of hell, burning fiercely. The flames intertwined and rushed towards Lin Xian. Insignificant skill. Extinguish. Lin Xian's sword light flashed and extinguished the flames. At the same time, the Star of Extinction sword drew a strange trajectory, and an ancient aura was emitted from the sword. Chapter 483. Gale Lightning Sword. One sword to break mountains and rivers. Above the sky, the clouds churned and a gigantic sword appeared. The sword body was outlined with ancient patterns, emitting an ancient aura. The moment this sword shadow appeared, it was like a divine sword that crushed all directions. Everyone below trembled and looked at the sky in horror. So terrifying, what move is this? Earth rank martial art. It's actually an earth rank martial art. Someone exclaimed. How is that possible? How can Lin Xian know an earth rank martial art? One had to know that earth rank martial arts were very rare. And there weren't many in the entire Tianan region. Only the four prodigies of the younger generation had mastered earth-rank martial arts. The sects behind them were all 5-star sects, and they had venerables overseeing them. That was why they could learn earth-rank martial arts. However, Lin Xian, a martial artist without a sect in background, could actually master an earth-rank martial art. This was absolutely shocking news. Not only the participants, but even the 5 venerables on the ancient city were shocked. They looked at the earth-rank martial art with a trace of passion in their eyes. This Lin Xian really has a lot of secrets on him. The previous ones haven't been solved yet. And now there's another earth-rank martial art. Venerable Green Lotus exclaimed. This kind of person has a great opportunity. Venerable Sword's words had a trace of envy. Below, everyone was still discussing. Too terrifying. Not only does he have amazing talent, but he also has heaven-defying luck. He can actually master an earth-rank martial art. If nothing goes wrong, this Lin Xian might very well become the 5th prodigy. Just as everyone was discussing, the demonic man's expression became very serious. Earth-rank martial arts were already the top martial arts in the Tianan region. Even he had to be careful. Moreover, Lin Xian's 80% sword intent was very terrifying. Coupled with an earth-rank martial art, it was enough to threaten a spirit-detecting realm martial artist. Nether body, black dragon soul condensation. The demonic man shouted. White flames jumped around and covered his body, enveloping him. Soon, the flames formed a set of flame armor, and a pair of dragon heads condensed in his hands. In the dragon heads, white flames condensed, forming a curved long saber, like the body of a flood dragon. The scimitar danced, and white flames danced, attached to the scimitar light, and rushed to the sky. This saber light was almost 1,000 meters long, like a white waterfall that defied the heavens. In the sky, the giant sword fell mercilessly, carrying with it the power to destroy mountains and rivers, bombarding the flaming blade aura. Boom! The two collided, bursting out with shocking energy. Countless black cracks appeared in the sky, looking sinister and terrifying. Too terrifying. Is the sky going to collapse? The crowd below was shocked. So what if it's an Earth-rank martial skill? You can't display the power of an Earth-rank martial skill. The bewitching man sneered. Really? Lin Xian stretched out his left hand again, and quickly pulled out the Wind Shadow Sword. Wang. Gale Lightning Sword, Double Sword Star Annihilation. The sky trembled, and a huge sword appeared once again. Soon, two huge sword shadows appeared in the sky, suppressing all directions. As the giant sword fell, everything below was submerged. The arena cracked and the ground collapsed. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The contestants quickly rose into the air, their faces filled with fear. There was nothing he could do about it. If he ran too slowly, it was very likely that he would be killed. Damn, is this Lin Xian still human? He's too terrifying. How come I've never heard of such a person before? Lin Xian was too powerful. Such a person should have been famous in the Tiannan region long ago. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, the sword shadows disappeared, and the situation below was revealed. Yin Shan was covered in blood, and his aura was weak. It was obvious that he had suffered an unimaginable injury from the sword light just now. The bewitching man's face was even paler. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, which was very eye-catching. He stared at Lin Xian with a vicious look in his eyes. His identity was special. This time he came to collect more true dragon chi. He originally thought that his opponent would be the #1 prodigy, Infinite Tyrant, but he did not expect that he would lose to Lin Xian. At the same time, he was even more shocked. Lin Xian's sword intent was definitely related to the Great Dragon Sword. Otherwise, it would not be able to injure him. Damn it! I must capture this brat. He tried to condense the white flames, but he realized that Lin Xian's sword intent still remained in his body, making it impossible for him to mobilize the flames for a while. Count yourself lucky this time. You won't be so lucky next time. The bewitching man snorted and slowly closed his eyes. Yen Shan gritted his teeth and formed a hand seal, sealing the bewitching man, and carrying him on his back again. It was obvious that he wanted to give up this opportunity and wait for the third round of challenges. The crowd was shocked. The bewitching man must be afraid of Lin Xian. Otherwise he would not have given up so easily. Lin Xian put away his swords. Then, the true dragon chi on his body surged and reached 7 feet. Furthermore, his ranking rose again, reaching 4th place. At this point, he had successfully joined the ranks of the 4 great prodigies. Lin Xian challenged Yin Shan in a domineering manner and won, becoming the new prodigy. This result was too shocking. Many people could not accept it immediately. One had to know that the strength of the 4 great prodigies was deeply rooted in people's hearts. No one could shake it at all. However, a newcomer like Lin Xian had done it. He had fought his way up from the bottom, and had not tasted a single defeat. Finally, he had made it to the 4 great prodigies. It would not be long before Lin Xian's name resounded throughout the entire Tiannan region. Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. This competition was more difficult than he had imagined. Of course, if not for the bewitching man, he could have defeated Yin Shan with his 80% sword intent. Now he had to use his trump card, the Gale Lightning Sword. Thankfully, Fang Xingjian still kept one of the Gale Lightning Sword technique. Moreover, he still had the Sword of Devouring and the Black Dragon Flame that he had not used. Therefore his goal was not just that. He wanted to challenge an even higher goal. Closing his eyes slightly, Lin Xian sensed the true dragon chi. Soon, he sensed the Great Dragon Sword's aura again. Although it was very weak, it was still there. Soon, he'll be able to sense the great dragon sword's exact location soon. Lin Xian was ecstatic. He opened his eyes, which shone with an even brighter light. The golden battle suit on his body was gone. It was replaced by a 5-colored battle suit. The 5-colored flowing light shone brightly under the sunlight. At this stage of the competition, the arena was damaged and needed some time to recover. Lin Xian took advantage of this opportunity to recover his strength. The devouring sword was activated. He quickly absorbed the surrounding spiritual energy to recuperate his body. After a while, he had completely recovered. At this time, the arena was restored to its original state. Lin Xian went up again. This time, he was going to challenge the prodigies again. Just as Lin Xian and the others were in the Azure Dragon Society, a few uninvited guests came to the Tiannan region. There were a total of 3 people. Their bodies were shrouded in flowing light, making it impossible to see their actual state. However, they were actually very powerful. They were actually not weaker than the 4 great prodigies. The 3 of them stood on a giant bird and looked coldly at the ground. "Did you sense it?" one of them asked. "Yes," the other person replied. According to the information, that person should be in the Azure Dragon Ancient City, in the center of the Tiannan region. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.